This is how much we know about movies. We just if you want a raw review of movies, you're getting it right here because we don't know shit.
Dad! Fuck, I don't know, man. Is that like nostalgia purposes for kids these age?
I don't give a shit. I don't care.
We get that, Pop.
Fine, I'll Google it through the magic of podcasting.
You don't have to Google it. I'm just saying, you just take it out.
No.
Not bring it out, or just be better prepared.
Shut your fucking mouth.
I am your father.
Man. Sometimes I wish like things would stay at a simpler time mentality.
Welcome to the Two Dads Review podcast. Happy frickin' New Year. It is past the new year. You guys haven't had a new episode of our podcast for roughly 2 weeks. Maybe a little bit less, but really, who's counting? It's the holidays. The holidays are over. The kids go back to school tomorrow, and the Two Dads Review podcast is ready to start up again, fresh in the new year. And we appreciate everybody tuning back in and remembering that we're still around because it has been a while, hasn't it, Corey?
Yeah, it's been a little bit, but I'm okay with that. I had no motivation to do this.
Your headphones good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I was like turning the volume down, and then I hit that weird spot where it was like you went away, but then I turned it up, and you went like really loud, and I was like trying not to like get super loud as I was talking. Like, all right, just slowly bring it down so you don't go deaf.
Yeah, and don't take his he didn't have motivation for it as like a bad thing against the podcast. We have our kids full time for 2 weeks straight. There is no energy left at the end of the day when trying to amuse them for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, and I'm renovating 2 houses right now, so like just I was like fucking I'm dying, dude. Like I think there was one day where I sat down and it was like 9:00 and all of a sudden I woke up and it was like 11:30 and I don't know what happened, but then I went to stand and I'd been in that position for too long and I just kind of like creaked up and then just teetered over, dude. Like I couldn't stop the momentum because like both of my legs were like, I'm done, dude. Like I thought we were done for the day. Hold on, I'm not with you yet.
You woke up. I didn't. I'm not done. I'm not ready to do this yet.
Yep.
And on top of that, you turned a whole year older, which I did not wish you happy birthday until today. And it was like Christmas Eve. Sorry. I'm a horrible friend.
It's so funny is I actually noticed it. I went, you know what's funny is like the guy I talk to the most out of anybody in my life, maybe outside of my parents. I was like, it's the only guy that didn't wish me happy birthday. And I was like, but that's fine. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like, don't take it personally. Like I wasn't mad. I just thought it was hilarious because this was also the first year, and I think I even tweeted about it too, where I didn't get a random number that wished me a happy birthday. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, that's awesome. That's great. And then the few people that I do talk to, minus you, because you suck,
I do.
Did wish me happy birthday. And I was like, holy shit, man, that's awesome. And then I got no random Happy New Year text. I don't even think I got one Happy New Year text. I was like, dude, I am peak adult right now.
Right.
Like, everyone knows me well enough not to send that dumbass shit, or they're like me and won't send that dumbass shit for a Happy New Year's. Unless you have a real, like, friend that, like, you kind of still do that with, you know?
I think I sent you a Happy New Year's text.
Yeah, but yours was also at like 12:30, I think. It wasn't at like 12 o'clock or 12:01, and it wasn't grouped with 900 other people.
Oh, God, no, yeah,
yours was
right.
like, hey, Happy New Year. I finally got to you on my list of people I've sent Happy New Year out, and I was like, respect where I land in the order. I was before I was 1 a.m., or you just happened to remember then, and it was like, Happy New Year!
I don't think I texted anybody. I think our friend Carl texted me, and I was like, we're doing this? Okay, Happy New Year. And then I was like, I guess I better send one to Corey because I'll feel like a douchebag if I don't. So one went to you too, and that was it.
Oh, that's great.
A couple of the Marine Corps buddies were doing that. I found out that like 2 of the guys from my old platoon like live in like an hour north of us. I was like, well, guess I'm going to go meet people for lunch here soon, one of these days. So that was cool. Let's see what else is going on. Sad day today in the wrestling world because me and Gene Okerlund died today. That sucks. That's a little bit of a downer.
Tweeted about that too, man.
Yeah.
I was I remember going to George Mason University, and they had a Mean Gene Burgers at like the old part of the campus. And it was right next to like where the pool hall was and everything. And I solely went there because of his face, like was on it. And I just was like, holy shit, dude, that is fucking cool, man. It's like, that is awesome. And I remember just kind of like looking at his silhouette of a figure on the thing, and then like all of a sudden there was the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan and like my WWF like wrestling buddy guy, you know, like I had the Ultimate Warrior doll, like all that stuff came like flooding back to me, and I was like, dude, that's fucking cool as shit. I am most certainly eating there. And it was like it ended up being like my favorite spot on campus to go grub at.
I didn't know he had a burger joint, or he had a burger chain. That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. What else is going on? Let's see. Oh, so we mentioned it last time in the podcast. I hope somebody listened to me and went to it, because I went and saw the They Shall Not Grow Old documentary on the 27th of December. That was pretty cool. That was the Peter Jackson. Is that who did it? Is that who I said did it? Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson?
No, I don't think so. Was it? I don't know. This is your shit.
I know, right? You'd think I know. Yeah, Peter Jackson. I don't know why I don't want his name to be Peter, but it is. But yeah, he was the one that did the documentary. And it's cool because it was a documentary, like he came up, like they filmed him and like he spoke to the audience beforehand and was like, hey, if you guys want to see how some of this stuff, like how the production was to do this, like wait around after the credits. And it's like a half-hour, like behind the scenes thing of this, and like it kind of gave you all the idea. And so you stayed, you watched the whole thing, which was amazing and moving and cool and just awesome, hour and a half. And then after the credits, like there's this whole like, and here's how we took 100-year-old film that, there were parts of film that were like you never saw in documentaries before because it was like so overexposed or so underexposed that just showing it on screen would show you nothing. It'd just be dark or white, but they were able to they were able to like pull out the images from the overexposed and like lighten the images from the dark stuff and actually show you stuff you've never seen before. It was amazing.
That's
absolutely amazing time. And so I read an article. The only reason I'm bringing this up again is not because you guys missed it on the 27th, but because it's actually going to get a bigger release in the States because it made a shit ton of money in like 2 days. So they're like, okay, we'll put it in more theaters because either World War II or World War I or Peter Jackson or both is drawing folks to it. There were guys there in full World War I, like British military outfits. Like, damn. Got out of their car, like, they had that shit in the back of the closet. They're like, oh, I finally have a time to wear this. I was like, all right, dude, go ahead, man. That's awesome. So, it was a good time. Well, it's getting a full theater release starting January 11th. Well, more theaters on the 11th, and then sometime in February should be, like, either, if not all theaters, most theaters, at least in the U.S. So, it's getting a standard release as opposed to just a limited couple-day release that it got before. So, it's pretty cool. It's a good time. If you have the chance to go see it, go see it. You will not be disappointed. And not to spoil or anything, but they started out like the normal size footage, the 4:3 or the square footage that's in standard speed with the standard frame rate. And then like all of a sudden, or not all of a sudden, but like in a quick gradual motion, it goes from like, it zooms in, goes like 16:9 and then goes to color and goes to smoothness. And you're kind of like, whoa, shit. Nice. It is wild. It is fucking cool. So, good time. Good time. What else is coming down the pipe? Star Trek Discovery, coming back January 17th. Expect our review starting on episode 1 of that for season 2.
I see some shit about Spock or something.
Spock's going to be in it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because
you know me, I don't keep up with that, dude, unless I just happen to, like, stumble upon it on a thumb swipe.
True.
I don't like spoilers. I hate it. I love it all being just... That's why, I don't, it's almost weird. I don't follow TV shows for that reason. Cause I don't want to notice anything. And then I almost end up not following, I won't follow The Rock pretty much on anything because he pitches everything he does and he's such a public figure with it. I'm like, I'm going to basically catch almost everything you do or part of before the movie even comes out. I don't want to do that. And so
you like the true surprise.
I do, yeah, man. Like, it's dead. It's so hard to, like, live with blinders on with certain things.
Especially if you do a podcast about TV and movies.
Yeah, like, well, because I kind of want to, I want to try not to have, I mean, you know, outside of the movies we're rewatching.
True.
I don't want to have, I try not to have, like, a pre-biased opinion, you know? Like, I saw Spock and I went, ooh, Spock looks cool. And then I just immediately, like, went by it. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna, like, let the GIF finish. I'm not gonna let it, like, I'm not gonna stare at it because I don't want to accidentally notice some hidden encrypted thing that, like, every media outlet puts in the things. Like, I saw one for PlayStation and, like, the second S or whatever it was looked like a 5. Mm-hmm. And it was clearly, like, a fucking 5. Like, there's no way to go, yeah, oh, dude, that's just a different font S. It's like, no. That's a 5 in every which way you look at it. But I saw that one little thing, and that spent me on a 4.5-hour rabbit hole trying to, like, find shit about it. And that is another reason I try to avoid crap, because I'm like tunnel vision after I get hooked on one. I can't get off it.
Like, where did the day go? I've literally spent 8 hours of my day looking through this one thing, trying to find information.
Oh, my kids are home? Like, when? When did that happen?
Did you find anything out about the PlayStation 5?
No.
Not a thing.
Not a thing, dude. Like, it was one of those, hey, man, your conspiracy theory, like, legit makes sense, because I'm totally buying everything you said. It wasn't really, like,
off-the-wall stuff.
Whoa, like, look left, look right, then follow these 6 buttons and click on this, you know, or bullshit like that, right? It was just, dude, like, I don't know how you either fuck the font up this bad or you're just kind of blatantly denying and advertising at the same time. They're like, look, dude, we know we're going to announce PlayStation 5 probably pretty soon. Or, you know, something like we're already got mock-ups in the work. So I was like, there's probably going to be leaked images. Kind of curious at least what leaked images look like.
Well, it's funny you should say it, though, because you know this is the first year in 2019. This will be the first year that Sony is not going to be at E3.
Yeah, which made me think that when they do their, like, own showcase thing, they're just going to announce it then.
Yeah, just see if they can pull the people and the views for that in their own event and not have to just show up at E3 and do their booth.
Yeah, or just do it so it's some out of cycle shit. You know?
Right. Who knows? It was weird. That is interesting, though, for them to drop out this year and also be kind of around that time where they need to announce another box, another $400 for us to drop, or $500 or whatever it's going to be.
Well, shit, dude. I think the last one was like $3, wasn't it?
Yeah, but this one will be Ultra HD and expandable. I don't know where else they can go, really, other than, I mean, they already have one that handles those. Doesn't the PlayStation 4 Supreme or whatever it's called
handle Supreme? Pro? I am your overlord and master.
Kinda. Doesn't it handle Ultra HD? So where do you go from there right now?
I don't think it's really you go from like building the like processor per se. I think you're at a point where it is, because within 4K you can build so much within like the TV specs to get an even better picture and a better picture, you know, because they're like, oh, well, just you have an OLED TV or whatever, you know, like if you got fucking money for a TV.
Right.
I think they just kind of build a new machine that's kind of like computers now at this point, where it goes, we just beefed up all the fucking internals. Like, this thing's just going to run super fast. Here's all the latest components. We're throwing new firmware updates because they're just basically going to cycle the OS over and to port it to fill, because I mean they have their proprietary like architecture that goes with it, but an Xbox is essentially a PC. Mm-hmm. A PlayStation at this point is essentially just a PC with their little splash on it. You know, it's not going to be it's not going to be one of those things where they go, the latest graphics. It's going to be like the latest processor, the latest memory.
Right.
We can cycle this frame rate now even faster, blah, 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 blah. Like, experience true UHD on an OLED at 4K, you know? And I mean, and even they can say, like, will handle 8 times resolution.
Right.
by the time TVs get to it, like this thing will still be good to go. Like it's that big, you know. Like that's how much power's in these things now.
I could do with a higher pixel count PSVR right now. Like I like my PSVR. Like I've played because you just got a PSVR with the kids and stuff, but you have what, an HTC Vive, right?
Mm-hmm. So
I've played your Vive, and you could tell the screen in the Vive is better. The viewing angles are larger than the PSVR. But I tell you what, if you could mount the Vive on my head the way that the PSVR mounts to your forehead, it would be the greatest thing ever. Like everybody else who does VR boxes needs to have them mount that way because it's easier than like smashing it against your face. You know what I'm saying? Especially since half of us that play video games wear glasses, and I need, like, because, you know, you'd think if I'm looking at a screen 2 inches away, I don't have to wear my glasses, but your eyes are focusing like it's across the way, so it's still freaking blurry. And I'm like, I hate this. So I have to wear my glasses.
Yeah, my stigmatism now, like, sucks bad enough that even when I take my glasses off, it's just like, well, why even look in that direction after a certain distance, right? You know, it's like, don't even bother. Like, it's spatial objects and colors at this point, and the only reason you know what any of it is because you've lived here for the past 20 years, and you know exactly where you are, so you already know the street sign, and the shape of a street sign, right, and the color of a street sign. Right.
I know what roads look like in general. I know there's a yellow smudge down the middle, and red boxes mean to stop.
Yeah, and the two big lights coming at me at rapid speed, avoid. Just don't go near those.
Don't be near those. Other than that, I can't see shit. Yeah, I'm with you. So it's like, I'm actually considering getting, I wore contacts for years as a teenager and in my 20s, but then I was like, at some point, I got old, was like, I don't want to wear contacts anymore. But I'm considering getting them again, just specifically for two things. For PSVR or any VR headset stuff, so I don't have to smash my glasses into my face. And 2, so I can see when I wear my new Darth Vader helmet for Halloween next year. Because I can't wear my glasses with it because it doesn't work, and that's going to be like trying to avoid little running smudges in the street as I don't run into kids as I'm wearing full Darth Vader garb. So it's going to be weird. So I'm considering getting contacts, but man, they're a pain in the ass.
If I do anything with my eyes next, because I tried contacts and I couldn't do it. It's like after like a month of it, my eyes, no matter what solution or drops I tried, were like the Sahara Desert after like 2 hours of those things in my eyes. And I'm like, don't worry, you'll get used to the kind of minor dryness feeling you have. No, I didn't fucking do it. Fuck that. That was awful. I was like, I will wear glasses. I'm cool. But
I'm a good looking man.
I'm a good looking man. That's right. You're very good looking, Corey. You know it. But I think I'm at the point now where like my eyes have gotten bad enough that when I take them off, it annoys me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm just going to get lazy.
I know. That's what I need to do. But
like that, like I'm just, because at this point it's so cheap.
Yeah.
Especially with insurance. And it's like, I could feasibly make that happen for myself if I really wanted to. Like, yeah, right? Like I could either do like a care credit thing with like those where they're like, yeah, dude, here, man. And then just give me $25 for like fucking 6 months. And like, I'm like, sure, dude. And I'll fucking overpay the hell out of it. Go right ahead. Yeah.
No. As long as it's same as cash, baby. Same as cash.
Yeah. You know, kind of thing. But yeah, I definitely have to have them just cut, lasered, I don't know, fucking
they have the
pull it out, put back in at this point in time. Like I don't even care.
Just replace my eyeballs. Just give me
fucking
new ones.
Brand new ones, dude. Give me, you know, like
give me that serial killer one from that one movie with Jessica Alba, The Eye, I think it was called. Remember when she got the serial killer eye, and then she was having all the flashbacks of the guy killing people? That's a weird ass movie.
I don't think I watched anything with Jessica Alba in it since
Fantastic Four.
No, Machete.
She was good in Machete.
Because she was in Machete, and I watched Machete.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
But before that, it honestly was probably like Sin City.
It's also good. Good Jessica Alba.
But she she also kind of stopped acting
think she had kids.
Well, yeah, she had kids, but she also started her own company and was like, hey, I'm really fucking good at doing this. And
right.
and also probably kind of in the back of her head, I feel like she was probably like, I also don't need all like the bullshit I get from like Hollywood about
Hollywood's kind of
dumb
skeezy.
Jessica Alba, pretty girl. Oh, she's slutty or whatever. She's like, I'm just gonna go make products for children and do my own thing.
Right.
Later.
Fuck
and then
you guys.
And like now she's at this point, I feel like if she did act, everyone would be like, oh shit, dude.
Jessica Alba's in something?
That's Jessica Alba? What's up, man? Like, damn, you're doing well. Looking good. Still can't act, but all right. You know, like that's how the conversation would go, and then she would probably go, this is why I don't act too often.
Right.
Like I'm doing really well over here. Like I don't need this petty bullshit, you know?
Yeah. True.
Who else was in that movie?
Which one?
Sin City.
Everybody. Bruce Willis.
That's true.
The guy
talking about him later.
Yeah, we're talking about him later. We
Joseph
have a lot
Gordon-Levitt was in it too. Talking about him later.
That's right. We're actually going over a lot of folks that we've reviewed movies with before already. So Bruce Willis is in tonight's movie Looper, and he was in Death Wish, which was horrible, that we watched last year and reviewed.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then Emily Blunt is in this, and she was in A Quiet Place that we watched last year, and that was awesome. One of the best movies of last year, in my opinion, personally.
Yeah, I can't. Like, it's so funny that you said it because all I could think of was the bathtub scene, but then also knowing the fact that she like immediately was like, all right, who wants pizza or whatever, like after that cut, you know, like makes me kind of laugh, and also at the same time just goes, I don't agree with the amount of money actors get paid, because it's like, and I also don't agree with the amount of money like athletes get paid. I know it's entertainment and shit, but like, dude, it's fucking retarded the amount of money they get paid, right?
Right.
But I'm also like, you're really, really fucking good at what you do. If you could just like drop it right after that and be like, so brunch, pizza, coffee, tea, ice cream, like anybody? Hey, what's up? Like,
you're talking the behind the scenes when she got done shooting the scene.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like, dude. It's just cool how people can like into it for a scene like that, and then it's like, I don't want to say it is their job. I mean, that is their job, but it's like anybody punching hand jamming a keyboard, you know, or whatever. They're just like, all right, that's what I do.
Well, I'm glad you like her because she's in next week's movie as well. So for anybody who doesn't know, next week we're going to watch to continue our time travel, looking at the calendar, and hopefully we get more on track. We should be able to get in next week's movie and then one more before Star Trek starts. So
what are we doing next week?
Well, we're doing Edge of Tomorrow. The next episode is Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, and Emily Blunt's in it. So we're going, and we reviewed. Did we review Mission Impossible last year, Fallout, or did I just see that in the theaters for fun of it? I can't remember anymore.
I think you just saw that.
I think I just saw it in theaters. But yeah, so we're doing Edge of Tomorrow, which is a little bit on the it's on the outskirts of the time travel movies, kind of with because I haven't seen it but once, and it was like back when it came out, so I don't remember if there's ever an explanation of why he's in that time loop, but I don't care because it works, and it'll work for our time travel movie ideas. So it's a fun watch. It'll be fun to try to talk that one through, considering how many times it goes over and over again.
Yeah. And on the 36th time, he repeated.
Right. So yeah, and then we'll have one more movie to hopefully get out before Star Trek. So whether it's Primer or Interstellar, I'm gonna make you watch one of the two. I love that you don't want to. It makes me so happy.
I know, man. Like, and I can't help but laugh because I know the evil funny you're experiencing right now, because you're like, I'm not like, it's not like I'm pulling his teeth or anything, but I also know that he's equally treating it like I am pulling his teeth or something, and it's just a movie, but this is so fucking hilarious. Like, I'm just like, I have no interest in watching either.
It's so great.
It kills me.
All right, well, we'll discuss that after we do next week's movie and see where we're at. So you never know. One of us could come down with something. Another reason that this podcast took so long to get to is that I'm still getting over what my youngest, my 2-year-old, had the flu type A. Now, we were good parents and got all of our shots, but beginning of the winter or whatever. But man, she had the flu on Christmas, so she was not feeling well. Not like, and it was like the virus, not the like coming out of both ends type flu. When people say the word flu, but it was like that. And then my wife and I both got like sore throats, and so I'm still trying to get over that and snotting all over the place. But I got to do this, man. Got to sit down once a week. Got to do it, or as soon as I can. So let's see.
We try within a 7-day period.
We try. It doesn't happen all the time, but most of the time.
Leeway to 10.
If our kids are home more than standard, then it definitely has a draw on it.
That is very true.
But yeah, so let's see. Letterkenny season 6 dropped, and an update since our last podcast. Originally, it was reported that on like the 27th, when season 6 was going to drop in Canada on their Crave TV or whatever it's called, that channel, Hulu was going to get seasons 3 and 4. But then sometime right before it released, they're like, no, Hulu's going to get all of them. Don't worry about it. And even Hulu wasn't quite sure, because like I was going on there and they weren't sure on their episode order or what number went with what, with the Christmas specials and whatever. So, but now all episodes of Letterkenny are also on Hulu in the States. So anybody who's been jiving to get it legally, hey, it's ready for you. Go watch it on Hulu. And they're all up there. I'm 3 episodes. I'm halfway through season 6. I've done 3 of the episodes.
I'm done with season 6.
Is it fantastic?
Awesome. It's cool.
It's so great,
man, dude. Like everything about it is fucking just, God. Like the final episode, man. I think I teared up a little bit, and I just remember like being kind of lost in the music, and
right?
Just like feeling good and like hopeful. I was like, man, this is fucking awesome. Like, holy shit. And then it also kicked in at the same time that was episode 6. And I was like, oh, well, those beautiful little bastards better get to filming 6 fucking more.
Speaking of tearing up, you and your boy went and saw what this week?
Oh, Into the Spider-Verse, man. Like,
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, so good. So fucking good. Like, I don't even want to watch another movie in 2019, man. Like, that movie was so good, and for a moment in time that everyone kind of seems to want to start over or anew and, better themselves, like, it is the perfect fucking movie to watch. Like, it is just all about, like, getting through shit and realizing, like, you're not alone and people are with you and you're loved and shit's hard, but sometimes you work for it and you're like, oh my god, you fucking animated geniuses, like, and the animation's gorgeous and I'm fucking crying and this is awesome and like my kid's crying, like, what the fuck, holy shit, this is awesome. Like, it just is such a good movie, so good, and the way it's stylized and everything, it's cool. And I think they got like Miles' character awesome, like Nicolas Cage like playing the noir Spider-Man.
Oh man,
is fucking perfect.
Can you get over the fact that Nick from New Girl is Peter Parker?
No, but like it's the voice is perfect.
Right.
Like, it just especially this version of Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Like it you go, yup.
It kind of is Nick from New Girl.
But like you also kind of get that those are all of the type of characters he plays, like even in his movies. Like he's the good, like in Tag, he's just the stoner friend, right? He was like, I'm the guy that's just really laid back, like drugs, I don't do a whole lot of anything, and I still somehow get the attractive girl, like, right? Like just you and your boyish charm and charisma, go you, Nick, in everything you do.
Nice.
Yeah, but that movie's fucking fantastic. And
you went with your teenage son, right? So you were both sitting there trying to like, I'm not crying. Yeah. Are you crying? I'm not crying.
Yeah, so it was my teenage son and my daughter, and she loved it for like Spider-Gwen being in it, and she plays like an intricate part in the movie,
mm-hmm.
and she's like super strong and all this cool stuff. And plus her like outfit and character, like Spider-Gwen's one of the coolest Spider versions to me. Like she's always looked super awesome. And so like she liked it, and then the whole like actual storyline, like plot twist, like not even just talking about like the moment of feels where you as a parent like go, oh God, that one was meant for the adults in the crowd for us to feel again and realize our youth or whatever, you know, like, but the actual storyline, like, written to play out, like, that was what got my teenager. Mm-hmm. And he's very close with his uncles and stuff like that. And the way stuff goes down through the movie with the family and everything, like, he was like, yep, that's kind of when I teared up. I was like, nope, don't do it. Don't do it. He's like, but my eyes started watering anyways. Couldn't help it.
Nice. Well, it's funny you mentioned Spider-Gwen because Spider-Gwen is voiced by Haley Steinfeld, who's the girl in Bumblebee. And I went and saw that over the break with my son. And that actually, after the last few, like, horrible pieces of shit Transformers movies that have been out there last night, all of those, like, this one is a good movie. Like, Bumblebee is a good movie.
Yeah, see, like, I liked all the Transformer movies because I took them
for what they are.
And, like, I still enjoyed, because to me, I still think the actual Transformer transformation is one of the coolest things that CGI has ever done after the Matrix fucking slow-mo moving shit. Like, the way Optimus or even the simple toaster fucking morphed in that shit was cool. And then, like, the crazy Earth Eater machine that was, like, mouths rotating, like, over itself. And, like, to me, that shit's bonkers. And I know now probably, like, anybody could go download some 3D program and be like, yeah, here's a couple of command clicks and brrr, there it is. But I liked it. Even the one with Mark Wahlberg, like, I still enjoyed them. Like, I'm not like, oh, fuck this. But I hear this one, though, is like one of those movies kind of like Into the Spider-Verse where you can't watch it and go, that's bad. Right? Like, you go, that story was good. The acting was good. The character Bumblebee's fucking good. Like, the way they pulled it all together, like, whether they brought in a guy with a giant arm and a puppet fucking holding her, or however they did the things, like, they all look good. There's nothing really to complain about. That is why I want to see that movie. Like, I know I'm going to enjoy it because Bumblebee at some point is going to transform and I'm going to go, oh, that's so fucking cool. And then I'm done. Like, I'm good. Like, I hit my, like, peak, what I needed for the movie. But I hear that this movie is, like, a really good movie and the story's awesome and, like, the way the characters make you feel. And you know, I feel like a lot of films have kind of been getting that right lately, and especially in the superhero-ish, ultra creative area, kind of the comic genre and stuff like that. Like, they're just getting all the right people. And it's funny, like, when I go on Twitter and they're like, oh, this person's so miscast, and I'm like, really? Like, I feel like that guy fucking did a wonderful job. How could that be bad? Like, if there's no one in any Marvel and or DC film to this point where I would go, nope, I would have totally picked someone else, looks or acting wise. Like, I think they all did a great job. Like, I think Ben Affleck playing the older Bruce Wayne is fucking money. That's perfect, dude. Spot on.
Yep.
You know, like, everybody, like, and you know, all the people giving, like, the whole Superman shit. I'm just like, I don't know what is going on behind doors, but dude, he's a fucking amazing Superman. To me, he's the best goddamn Superman there is.
Henry Cavill? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He just nailed it.
He looks like
great.
it.
Like, yeah, dude, like, that guy is fucking Superman to me.
Right. Chiseled face and a good actor, a fantastic actor. If you watch him in something he's not playing Superman in. Superman is notoriously a deadpan, like, I mean, Superman has never been someone who got real excited about stuff because you're a god.
And he's always been super, like, positive in always to me, the way I've always pictured Superman in my head is the way Henry did it.
Exactly.
Like, very civil, very mannered, like, I don't raise my voice because I don't fucking have to. I'm Superman. And two, I'm above that. You're either going to listen to obviously the ultra awesome wisdom I have to give again because I'm fucking Superman, or you're not, right? Like that's just all there is to it. Like I don't know what else you needed, especially when he like does the whole like, you know, and justice is what we stand for, like thing. You know, it's just like, yeah, dude, you're just way to go be an awesome alien. Like, thanks for not coming down and trying to enslave us all. Like, you know, like,
right.
Granted, like, that kind of did happen via storylines and stuff, but he still played even the pissed off Superman good. Like, he did, you know?
Nice. Back to Bumblebee real quick. Something I wanted to bring up. So they do, of course, Bumblebee isn't the only Transformer in the movie, at least of the good guys of the Autobot side. But of the Decepticons, there's a big fight, and it's at the very beginning of the movie, so it's not like it's a spoiler too bad. But Optimus Prime is fighting. It's the whole like how they got shot into space and had to come to Earth and stuff. That's what the whole story is about because it's set back into, you know, set in the 90s, I guess, or something, I think. But we get to see Soundwave, the guy who was the cassette tape guy that has the chest that pops out in the cassette tape. I mean, I remember that because, like, when we were kids in, like, the 80s and 90s, like, that was a working cassette tape if you got that dude. Like, the little mini cassettes would play in him. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, Soundwave was, like, outside of Optimus
one of the most recognizable.
And Megatron.
Yep.
But, like, and not even for, like, dudes that you were like, oh, you're super powerful or anything. Like, Soundwave was strictly cool because of what he was for the era. And, like, you're just like, dude, that's the fucking hottest shit. I have to have that toy. Like, that guy was created had to have been created from the mind of someone going, I'm gonna sell the living fucking shit out of this thing. Like,
yeah, he was literally made just to sell toys.
Yeah, there's no way that, like, someone was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have this ultrasonic guy and, like, fucking tapes. Cool.
Yeah.
Like, they would have made it then, like, something futuristic, I feel like, because it's not like Star Trek or other TV shows hadn't already jumped light years ahead of things like that. You know, like, he was strictly there to sell for that time. That's what that guy was. But he was cooler than hell. Like, you had to have him.
Had to. Everybody had him. Everybody. He's the one bad guy everybody had to have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's good. And like I said, Haley Steinfeld, knowing that she's acting against probably what amounts to like a tennis ball on a stick, when they were filming, you know, on a green screen or whatever, like she pulls out some good stuff, like emotionally, and she makes you feels, and there's some tearing up moments when I'm not trying to tell my 5-year-old to sit still. I'm like, okay, dude, like, we got to get you to movies. I know Bumblebee was like probably not the best one to go to, but Adam tickets were running a buy one get one, so I was like, even if he shits it halfway through, I only spent money on one ticket. So it's like, it's fine. So that's the only reason we went to Bumblebee and didn't go to like Spider-Verse or something else. He wanted to see Aquaman. I'm like, you can't sit through this one. You're not gonna be able to sit through Aquaman. There's gonna be too much, you know, talking about plot. He doesn't like plot.
He's like, I like Michael Bay.
Right. I was like, let me show you the old Transformers.
That's where he's at. Yeah.
Well, you know, and you mentioned like the nostalgia factor. Like I remember following the production of the first Transformers movie that Michael Bay did, like as it was like being made. I was like so hyped for it. And like the opening, I remember I went to theaters to see it. And like when that chopper first transforms on that flight deck or in that desert, you know, landing spot, and like they got to, the sound editor put in the noise from the cartoon, like me and everybody else who was my age in the theater was just like, fuck yes, it's real.
Oh yeah. I remember like when the scorpion thing was like popping in and out of the sand. I was like, dude, how would you ever fight anything like you would? Fuck that. All those guys are dead. That thing right there would annihilate all of them. There's no way you stop that. Like, dude.
Not when you're the elite team of Army, Navy, SEAL, Beast people, whatever the heck they were. Like, I don't even know who they were with anymore. Whatever portion of the military they were with, but they survived. And I always find it funny they're fighting in those scenes because it's like, you guys are just, at least Haley in her movie was just running and staying out of the way of shit because people were just like, I mean, just two giant robots are fighting us. So she's like, I'm out of here. Like, I got to run out of the way. Like, you need to get out of the way. Yeah, it's good. So good movies all around. Good stuff to see. But let's talk. We're on our 4th time travel movie of our time travel series. It was one I haven't seen since it first came out, and it still held my attention this time through. After watching after focusing on time travel.
I'm glad it did for you, man.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, dude, I watched it and I just went, I don't know if I wasn't in the mood for a movie or what, but I was like, I mean, it's just like I'm gonna have to review it from how I remember it.
That's fine.
Instead of like reviewing it from my second watch through, because I'm just like, it's almost, to me, that movie is almost like The Sixth Sense. I'm like, don't watch it again.
Right.
There's no need to. Like, it was perfect the first time through.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that it's a bad movie, but it's just, to me, it's one of those movies where you're like, all the cool reveals I kind of already know, so there's not a whole lot keeping me moving with this.
It never has the impact as the first time.
Yeah, and it also wasn't old enough like Time Cop was for me, where I'm like, dude, we're just gonna fucking watch Van Damme. Like, that's fucking awesome. Like, it's not old enough yet for me to go, oh, Willis and Looper. Like, this is still like, Willis and Looper. Like, you know, like, it's there.
You know, and it's funny. So this isn't the first movie to do this, but it's definitely the one that stood out the most in the last 10 years. And they had to edit, or they had Joseph Gordon-Levitt is playing a younger version of Bruce Willis. So he has like a nose prosthetic, so his nose matches up and stuff. And like, he had to he watched a shit ton of his old movies and like got his mannerisms and shit down, like to the point where I'm watching Joseph on the screen going, oh, that was a Willis move. Like, you could just tell, like, when he was queuing up a Willis move. And I always liked it when he did it while he was talking to Bruce Willis, because they would say some of the behind the scenes, he would do that, and after they'd say cut, Bruce was like, I see what you did there. Like, I know what you did. He's like, I know you did that shit. That's one of the things I used to do. Like, that's cool that you picked that up from that one movie I was in. But yeah, and I think I made a joke. I don't know if it was to you or to my wife, but I was like, I wonder if it was hard for Joseph Gordon-Levitt to act like a piece of wood. Something. Because if you guys listen to our review of Death Wish, like, especially these days, like, Bruce Willis seems to be kind of like phoning it in. And hey, the man's Hollywood elite. Like, you don't have to try real hard, but it's kind of apparent that he's not trying real hard. This movie was not that point yet. I don't feel like it. I didn't feel like he was phoning it in as much as like he was in Death Wish. No,
with Death Wish, you can obviously tell that he just somehow like got blackmailed into that contract or something, you know, like his real estate agent knew a guy who was going to buy the house off the guy, but he's like,
I need you to be in my movie.
He'll give you the price you want if you go act for him, and he'll pay you that too. And you're like, all right, fuck it, I'll go do it. Right. Like Looper, he still gets all like, you still feel for him in Looper. You're like, all right, man, like I get why you're doing what you're doing. Like it's there. And I mean, Willis is also never been one of those guys with like an insane range. His kind of goofball-y tough guy shtick just kind of blended perfectly with the scenarios he was in, like from Fifth Element to Die Hard to even Unbreakable. Like even Unbreakable, he's just kind of like
even
aloof.
More subdued.
Yeah, like he's just like aloof to what he is. He's not like overly serious about it. He's like, I just kind of feel it. I know it. I do it. You know, kind of thing. Like,
totally not related. Have you seen Last Man Standing?
The Tim Allen show?
No, Last Man Standing, as in the movie with Bruce Willis in it, where he's
it's not Last Man Standing. It's the Last Boy Scout. It's the Last Boy Scout. No, that's not correct. I have seen Last Boy Scout. That is a Bruce Willis movie as well. There's a Last Man Standing movie. I gotta look this shit up.
Magic of podcasting.
Oh shit! Is this the one where he's
It's like a 30s, like 1930s, like Western town.
Yeah, he's like that bootlegger or some shit.
Yeah, and it's got William Sanderson in it, who you know from Blade Runner and like what was he in? What was he in Forever that I used to watch him in as a kid?
Well, he was. I remember from Deadwood.
Newhart. He was in Newhart when I first knew him from Newhart. He was also in
True Blood too.
Well, yeah, true. But I knew him back in the day from Newhart. Like I used to watch that show as a kid. My parents. I was between the ages of 2 and 10, so I'm sure I wasn't the one watching it.
It's just what you were stuck watching,
right.
But you just grew to love it anyways.
All I remember is this is Daryl, and this my other brother Daryl, and my other brother Daryl. Like there was 3 guys who all were named Daryl. They were all brothers. It was hilarious. But yeah, so that movie, if that is a little tiny like Bruce Willis gem that if you haven't seen, it is not the 6.4 it's rated on IMDb. It is definitely a rated R movie. It is a 1996 rated R movie, so it is fantastic and in all of its blood and glory. And it's just a drifting gunslinger for hire finds himself in the middle of an ongoing war between the Irish and Italian mafia in a Prohibition-era ghost town. I mean, that's exactly what it is. And he kind of stumbles into that and takes care of it in the way only Bruce Willis can.
Nice.
Yeah. So, anyways, that just came out of the top of my head and I was like, oh, that was one of my favorite. Like, whenever I get down on Bruce Willis, I think about that movie and I'm like, no, it's fantastic. Like, he's great.
Yeah, no, I still I don't think he's not.
We know he listens, Bruce. We know we love you, man. We can't, it's just the way. I
just think he just didn't give a fuck about Death Wish. Like, that's all that was. Like, I think. After he signed on for that movie, he kind of realized that he was like, I really thought I was up for an action flick. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not. You know what? I'm just going to be kind of a cantankerous good guy. That's what I'm going to be. You don't have to do too much with that. Kill the bad guys. Save the good people. Smile when it's appropriate. Leave. End. Scene.
Make a horrible finger gun at the very end, like you never made a finger gun before in your life. So Looper was directed by Rian Johnson, which I didn't know. You know what he directed, right?
Last Jedi.
That's right. Last Jedi. And so,
I didn't even look at your cheat sheet shit. I bet that's written on there, isn't it?
It sure is.
Oh yeah, it is right there at the very top.
Yep, right at the top. Yeah, no, it's so one of his. He actually hasn't done that many movies. I think we even may have mentioned that during the. He's only directed 13 movies and 4 of them were shorts. Actually, he's only directed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are shorts. 3 of them are TV series. I mean, so he's only had a couple movies. So Looper was like his first big one. The Brothers Bloom, I think actually had Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it as well. Maybe for like a small part. But he hadn't done that much, so this was like his first big one in it. It landed good. Critics liked it. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes has got it at 93 and audience at an 82, Metacritic at an 84, IMDb at a 7.4, and a Cinema Score at a B. So I mean, I can't. I agree with those. I think this is a good 7 to 8 movie. When first watch.
I think the first time you watch Looper, like, those scores fall perfectly.
Actually, we need to unlock the phone first.
Fucking phones. Startups. No one uses Bixby. No one uses you. Stop. Christ. I switched back to a Samsung phone and they frickin'.
Did you put that Bixby mapper on there? Just make it do something else?
I should. I just haven't done it. Because I don't care. Like, I should. There's like a whole button dedicated to that goddamn thing. And like, why would you make a button? It's like making a Bing button on like a Microsoft phone, which they don't even have Microsoft phones anymore. They probably even don't because no one bought them in the first place.
I don't know.
I hope they gave up on that shit. They're like, look, we can make our stuff the same across all platforms too. Like, but nobody wants that. Except Apple users. And you guys can have your own shit.
Yeah, I don't. I still like using Apple laptops because I just like using some of the shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I touch my son's iPhone now, and 2, I'm older, and so just the willingness to learn shit again is just not there. So, and then
two,
I've been on Android for so long that every time I touch his shit, I go, I hate this fucking phone. I hate every
so
fucking
agree
thing
with you
about it.
Okay, so let's go on. I'm just going to go on an Apple rant. So just shut it off. I don't care. Just give me a second. Every time I touch my wife's phone, like you said, your kid, I touch my wife's phone, and I have something happening, and I want to do said action. So whatever the logical path is to get to that action is not the way to do it on an iPhone. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, how come what I want to do isn't right here? And if they go through one more announcement about this, like the current one right now is like, you can have multiple people talking on FaceTime. And I'm like, we've been doing 6 to 7 fucking video chat people on Hangout video chats for like 5 years in fantasy football. And you guys act like it's fucking new. Like, I wish you guys would just stop. Like, you guys, when you guys announced that you could now text pictures as well as just messages, when Apple did that, it was like, we've been texting pictures for years. Like, stop acting like it's fucking new just because your users can now do something that's been around for 2-3 years.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, it's just, like, at this point, it's just like, it's much like being a Democrat and a Republican. You just have fucking picked a side, and, like, unless something truly atrocious goes bad on either side, like, you're not gonna get many people to fucking jump ship to go either direction, and or willing to understand any point of view from the other side. And especially the way Android and Apple's ecosystems are. It's just like, after a certain point of being on one for so long, you go, well, why the fuck would I switch? Because then, even though I may only use 4 to 5 apps at this point in time, I have 300 here.
Right.
And I'm not going to go over here and buy the 4 to 5 that I fucking do use again. So I'm not switching, you know?
Yep. I can't do it. And Google owns me, and I've given my life to Google, and that's fine. Like
that's the fucking mark I wear, dude. Like, when we're all judged at the end of this fucking hellscape that we are potentially living in, there will be people marked with Apple, people marked with Linux and Microsoft and Unix and fucking Android and Google and God knows what else by the time this is all said and done, because they will have globally divided up the world, and it will be your currency and or passport to fucking move amongst the likeness of your own kind.
God, you're such a cantankerous old man. That one extra year really did it to you, man. That's great. No, that's great.
But no, that's how you'll end racism, dude. Everyone will just plead their fucking allegiance to a product and an ecosystem, and they'll be like, you know what? You're a Google dude. Fuck everything else, man. I'm cool with you. Like, you don't like Apple? Fuck it. We finally agree on something.
Yeah, exactly. It'll what brings everyone together. That'll be it.
I'll tell you what, dude. I mean, at the end of the day, Amazon's gonna win it all.
Yeah, and you're correct there. If Amazon could put out, because they tried a couple years ago with their phone that sucked balls, and their tablets still kind of suck compared to
their tablets for the money, man, are so fucking good
for the money.
dude.
Yeah, but they don't have. The problem is like, when you don't have good handshakes with other people, with other, like, for instance, you can't just, there's no YouTube app for Apple products or not Apple.
Yeah, well, that, like, yes, like, certain shit like that sucks, but I mean,
for $80 for a tablet that works, I agree.
Yeah, like, YouTube is the biggest one. You're like, God damn it, like, and especially because you can't cast from the little thing since you don't have YouTube on there. But, like, app war things like that, like, honestly really don't bother me at the end of the day, because I don't cast a ton of shit from a tablet to begin with.
True.
And they're mostly for, like, my children, and it's like, what is my other option? Really, like an iPad or maybe a PC company's
tablet
version of an Android tablet, which those are like ultra hit or miss at the end of the day. And you're like, no, what I really want is the simplistic layout of the iPad, but minus all of its security fucking flaws. Just give me the way I view Android on my phone on this tablet. Like, I don't like the Silk OS that Amazon like puts on their shit, but I also use every fucking product in the world that Amazon has, basically, through music, TV, and Hulu works on there, and Netflix works on there. I'm like, I personally don't use YouTube enough to give two fucks about that. Like, that does not bother me. I have so many other choices that one little thing will not sway me to try any other version of a tablet right now for money. Like, they got good processors, good memory. I'm like, fucking solid shit. And usually when you buy their shit, they go, oh, well, since you buy our shit, we're just going to give you a little bit more of our shit that you want anyways for free. So here you go.
Right. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've got a Chromecast and a Amazon Fire, either stick, box, or cube, and on every TV in my house, just because I use some things from this company and some things from that company. I do commingle the Android and the Amazon, or the Google and the Amazon stuff, because the Chromecast is the greatest invention known to man currently in this decade. I have to say that out loud, because it is. Because if you have a decent network in your home, then you put a Chromecast on every TV, and then you have a good, decent computer. You don't need to rent, and you still have cable. You don't need to buy 4 or 5 cable boxes per however many TVs in your house. You throw a Chromecast on there, you pull up the cable app that's streaming on your computer, and cast that Google tab to that Chromecast, and you have a cable box on any TV you want. And it is the greatest thing ever, and it saves you that $5 or $10 a box. And it's plenty good. It's plenty good, like, high definition. Like, it doesn't look like it's just pixelated mess. Like, it's fine. So, I mean, it was what saved me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars over the past decade, being able to just cast from a device to that TV.
Yep. There.
Because Xfinity or half the other cable services don't have, like, they know better than to put an app out on one of those devices. Like, you can go to like download the Xfinity app for like your phone and stream on your phone, but you're not going to find an Xfinity app in the Amazon store. You know what I mean? You're just not going to.
No, that's why you just sideload that shit.
Yeah, but then that takes, you have to jailbreak it, and you have to freaking sideload it, and then it's just...
No, you don't. It's the whole point of sideloading. It's no jailbreaking or
that's good.
Anything whatsoever.
I'll just check that out. I haven't done that before.
Yeah, the only thing you would maybe run into is, like, if that, like, say the Xfinity app, you know, like on your phone, it'll like then act as also like a TV remote. But because you're on the tablet, the scaling will get thrown all kinds out of fucking whack.
Mm-hmm.
It may not read properly, but I would bet if you sideloaded it on there and signed in just to say, like, I want to watch Magnum P.I. because he's got a sweet fucking mustache, and hit cast, it'll shoot it right from the Fire tablet.
We'll have to see. I don't know. Like I said,
you just plug it into your PC, and then when it registers the hard drive, just drop that APK in the file, like, you know, the file directory it needs to go in, and then go open it from the file system on the machine.
Okay, interesting. But I need to do that, like, on one of my Amazon Fire one of my boxes, like one of my, just so I can just select it from there, which you can't. You still have to cast from an Apple tab from a Amazon tablet, right? The way you're talking?
Well, if you wanted to do it that way, but I mean, you can also get it onto your Firebox.
That's what I need to do. Yeah, I need to figure out how to do that. Just so I can just
put it on the memory card then, and put the memory card into the Firebox. Or like that USB slot or whatever the fuck it is.
Well, it would be nice. It would be nice to have an Xfinity app on those, and I could just stream all day and not have to worry about casting stuff. So we'll see. I don't know. Hulu was offering their service for $1 a month for the next year, so I got that at the beginning of the year, anyways, for the hell of it.
Nice.
Because I was like,
fucking awesome. Man.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Yeah, like I'm at the point now where I'm about to cancel the PlayStation view service that I was using. One, because football's almost fucking over, and two, I don't really give a fuck. I can leave my house if I really, really want to watch a game. It's not like I can't find someone that'll go, oh, dude, I don't ever want to watch football. Like, hey, man, you want to watch football today? Sure, come over.
Yep.
Cool. Got a place to watch the game for the day, right? But with Hulu, live sports are still kind of the only thing, but soccer is the live sport that I pretty much exclusively watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I can just go to NBC Gold and just pay the one-time fee for the year and watch all the soccer my little heart desires and be good to go.
True.
So I'm like, yeah, that's because I was at first I was on the PS View with like their big package, and then I monitored the children because that's the one that had like a lot more of the kid stuff, and they always went into YouTube or Hulu anyways or Netflix anyway. So I was like, all right, I went down a tier, but I was like, I want the movies, and then I kind of monitored myself, and I was like, I only watch these things when one of the major series is on, and Game of Thrones isn't out till 2019, so I don't give two shits about any of those. So I got rid of those. So then I went down to like the most basic of tiers because I was like, it offers me the local cable, which means I get the soccer games. So I was like, I'm solid. I'm good.
It is nice to have. I mean, it's nice to have these options that we haven't had. It's just everything's out there now. You can pick and choose what you want to do. You can cut the cord. You can. You know, I still pay for every movie channel and everything, and I probably shouldn't anymore, but sometimes it's just nice to be able to pull it up. But it's just, everything's out there now, and it's like, it's just nice. There's no other way to say it. You know, back in the day, it was like back in the day, you didn't have a choice with cable company. It was whatever was piped to your house. That's all you got.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, man, like, I think I ranted about Superstore, but like, you got to watch the Goldbergs too, because everything that you and I kind of go back in the day about, like, that's exactly what the fuck that show is about. And just you saying, like, depending where you lived in your county was kind of, those were the cable sections you got. And that was all there fucking was to it, right? You know, like, there was no picking. But you remember going, turn the dial or pick, like, channel 4 at 7 o'clock, because this is when your fucking show comes on. Or, like, trying to record something from the radio, like, maybe getting lucky enough to call in a request.
Right.
And, like, having the request hit, so you're like, oh, shit, dude, I know exactly when to fucking hit play now. Like, my request is coming on at 4 o'clock. Awesome. Or, like, trying to catch us. Like, the Goldbergs is all about shit like that. And the family story is also super awesome. But, yeah, dude, like, this, speaking of time,
bringing it back, bringing it right back around.
But like
quit acting like this show is planned.
Right. The Goldberg show, man, dude, it is like a freaky flashback at certain points. Like, cause the set is super awesome and like the way people are dressed and everything, but you'll see like an old school toy or like catch a glimpse of like, you remember going, I fucking watched that Wheel of Fortune episode or some shit like that. And you're like, oh, yeah, dude, it's like little shit like that. That's what makes, yeah. Okay. Anywho, movie. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Yeah. No more flashbacks. I did start watching the Goldbergs though. So I'm going to be I'll be able to talk more about it when I get past. I think I'm on like the 3rd episode, but I started watching it. So I picked it up because it's on Hulu. So I'm watching all of them.
Nice.
So let's see. Time travel rules for this movie. It's a little bit hinky because they don't really tell us a whole bunch. So I kind of had to pick it from what we talked about in the past few movies and take some guesses because parts of it were like part of the plot. So I was like, I guess that means something to them. So since we started with Time Cop, we always have to bring back whether or not you can touch an older version of yourself, which in this movie you absolutely can. In Looper, you can interact with your old self.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like almost the whole fucking movie is literally based off of that simple premise right there at the very get-go. Like, you can, and pretty much your sole objective is to interact with your older self.
At least one fatal time.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the one that was a plot element, so it must be part of the time travel mechanism, is that departure and arrival times, when they leave the future at whatever time of day they leave the future, they arrive in the past at that same time of day. It's a different location, theoretically, unless the warehouse they're in the future is where he is in the middle of that cornfield, which is also possible. But
which is more than likely
what it is. Yeah, there's a rundown whatever there, but the fight that old Joe gets into delays the arrival of him to the past. So there has to be some sort of time of day, they have to, when you leave at 11:10 in the future, you arrive at 11:10 in the past. So if you were to not get in the capsule at the right time, then when you arrive, it'll be a few minutes later. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you get to type in, October 10th, 1986 or whatever it was in Back to the Future, at this time of the day. You don't get to set the time of day. The time of day is set by when you leave the future. Only because it's a plot point, because he has his watch and he has his time at which the guy's arriving, and then it's delayed, but only by the amount of the fight for him to him jumping into the time machine. So there has to be I just pulled that because of the correlation to the plot and the delay that is blatantly shown to us, where he's like, no one's ever arrived late. This is weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that's just more of they treat it like a plane flight.
True, that's what I'm saying. But yes, it's your departure from the future has been delayed. But if you're able to set the exact time, the exact year, date, location, and time of the time of day must be the variable. That whenever you leave the future, you're arriving that same time of day in the past.
Yeah, well, it seems to be that yes, you're correct. That is, but what I'm trying to point out is that the only thing that is technically affected is if someone is expecting that arrival time because they have been notified.
Correct.
So what I'm saying is, if you were hey, I'm going to go back at 12 fucking a.m. on a Tuesday, blah, 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 and you stubbed your toe for 30 seconds, and then you got in the thing at 12:01, you just land at 12:01.
Right.
It's not so the only way you would kind of be fucked is if you were trying to leave at a certain time on your time so that you would see something or get there before something previously happening. Yeah, it's not oh shit, he was 2 minutes delayed, now his cells are warped and he's fucking goo and he's got an arm out of his forehead and shit like that. No, it's just, you're literally just late.
Right.
To the time you were supposed to fucking be at.
Right, and it may be that because in our other movies like Time Cop, they were able to set their arrival time to the second, because when the guy makes the phone call to make that big business deal on stocks that are plummeting, that's what cues the future of that event happening. And what's his Jean-Claude Van Damme's character, he arrives literally seconds after that call is made. So they're like, you need to go to here, and this point in time right here. So they were able to set down to the second. This one you can only set to the date, and the time that you leave is the time you arrive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, they're like, you get a 24-hour window to make that fucking day.
Right.
And then now the only question would be, right, let's say no one is expecting you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because, again, the only reason that whole little scene is even remotely important is because someone is expecting at a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's say you're I want to go back to December 24th, 1983. Let me be me. I want to go see myself be born and be a better friend and wish myself a happy birthday.
You couldn't pay me enough to go back and watch myself being born.
No. Already done.
Okay.
I'm not catching the birth.
That's good.
I just want to go back and be yo, hey, I'm the first guy to say happy birthday to myself, man. Later, little dude. Shit gets weird, but you'll be okay. But let's say I wanted to go that day, right? That was the day I wanted to go to. So in my time, I'm I don't remember what day I was born. I don't know if it was a Saturday, but I'm I wait till a Saturday in my time.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it would work. so far, we believe, right?
Sure.
Now, the next question is, okay, is it like a plane flight where I can just leave on any day in my time and I have to be within the actual hour, minute, second to go back to that hour, minute, second? So I can just technically leave any time in the future as long as I leave at 12:01 to go miss everything and then high five myself.
Right.
Right. Can you do that any day? Or is it like, hey, if you want to go back to a Saturday, if you missed a Saturday, you got to wait a whole fucking week to get back
to a Saturday
at one of these specific time windows that you're looking for.
It kind of felt that like it was almost a day thing as well. So I don't know, but it was that was never explained, but he was always given a day and a time, and it was a day of the week. It wasn't like a date. It was like Thursday, 11:10. So it wasn't like they cared about what they knew that he was coming back to the next Thursday. They like, okay, on Thursday at 11:10, we're shooting this guy through. So we do this on a clockwork basis. So it's happening within a week. So you're getting your call in or whatever. So I don't know. It's definitely an intricate like web of murder they had going on with this crew. Like it had to be a pain in the ass to run.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess if you get people that obviously are like every fucking epic spy movie or something like that, like someone that is so down and out or needs that magic whiff of cash or blood or drugs or whatever the fuck it is that you got them on the string, right? So like all of these guys are just like, I'm basically a looper because it's what I'm fucking good at. I don't know what else to do. I'm not a store clerk. I'm not a taxi driver. I was kind of good in jail, but that's only because I did bad shit, right? Like things like that. Like I don't feel like anybody was like, hey, dude, I went to fucking Harvard, became a lawyer, and then was a looper, right? Like everybody, the looper kind of gig seemed to fall on the people that didn't not necessarily have other options, but they were just more suited for that line of work.
Right.
Something creepy and small standing outside your door. Do you see shadows?
No, I just sounded like someone was coming down the stairs, and I was like, okay. My wife is doing some stuff upstairs. Like, are you going to come bug me during this? Let's see. What else is there? Okay, so this movie requires a machine. So, but it's kind of like the machine in Time Cop where you started the machine, but you end up with nothing. You end up in the middle of, you don't have, the machine doesn't go with you like in Time Machine.
Yeah.
Or
it's
Predestination. Predestination had their machine as well that came with them when they traveled.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no recall button for this one. This is a one-way trip. Because I don't think Abe, who was played by Jeff Daniels, he volunteered to go, and I don't think there was any way of bringing him back. Like, he was just going to be rich in his time from then on and run the empire in the past. Like, I think they made a point to say in the movie that, like, he was the volunteer who's going back to the past to run this thing and never was, never going back to the future.
Oh, yeah, well, because that was the whole gimmick with the loopers, wasn't it? I thought, if I were, remembering this correctly, the whole thing with the looper is you do your time, right? And then you go... I thought that was you go to pick your destination, but Bruce Willis figured out that there was oh shit, they just fucking off us.
No, I think they all signed on knowing, as loopers, knowing at the end of your loop, when after your 30 years, you were going to be sent back and killed by yourself. You knew that going into it.
Okay.
What I'm saying
I thought it was one of those things where they all thought they picked their thing.
No, they just knew they had 30 years of being rich, and then they were going to make this money last, and then you're dead. We're going to pick you up and kill you because you know too much.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is in the time travel, we're just talking the time travel logistics of the movie, is that there's no way for you as just a normal person to travel to the past and then come back to the future. Abe.
Yeah, and the only reason I was even making anything about that, I was I thought that was because it was a one-way ticket on purpose. They were nah, dude, I want to take what I know in my loot or whatever and go live out in 1968. Like, I'm fucking, you're out.
Yeah,
you're
no,
done,
they just,
but that, I was saying, I thought that's what they thought they were getting, and then they shoot them down the tube, and it's really their original self fucking off in the back.
Yeah, right.
I forgot they signed the agreement saying like, oh yeah, after my time's up and I've been living like a fat rat for 30 years, just fucking take me out.
Right. And they also, that's the whole point of being hooded, is that they wouldn't find out they had killed themselves until they opened the guy's back and it was gold bars instead of silver ones.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh shit, this is me, and I just killed myself, and now I'm done working, and I'm rich. And I know 30 years from today, they're coming for me. That's what they know.
Yep.
That's the thing. So it's like, ugh. And the last one, I had a really, really hard time with this because it's so unfeasible, but yet when it's done in the movie, it's so fucking cool. We see, so back to Time Cop, like when he gives younger senator a kick in the face and cuts his face, you see the older senator, you see the scar appear on his face, right? We're like, okay, cool, of course, because you injure the younger version, the older version's going to show those effects. In this movie, this also absolutely happens to the point where it's not believable that the guy is even there anymore. When Seth, who is played by Paul Dano, who, if you have not seen him in There Will Be Blood, fucking watch that movie, because this kid is amazing and he'll make your skin crawl. Anything he's in, I get itchy when I watch him. Like, he makes me feel gross. Like, he's just, and that's good on you, Paul Dano, good on you, because you're a great actor. But you, sir, are like, you're like the movie equivalent of a car salesman. Like, I just feel gross when I watch you. And it's probably because the first time I really saw you was in There Will Be Blood. And like, I wanted to fucking crawl out of my skin. Like, you are so, and like, you just make me gross all the time whenever I see you. But you're great at what you do. So bravo, sir. Your craft is magnificent. But he doesn't, this is towards the beginning of the movie, he lets his loop run and doesn't kill him. And because like when the loop arrives, he starts like singing a song that their mom, his mom sung to him when he was a baby or a kid or whatever. So he knew, like, it threw him off from just blowing him away. And so he let him run. So he escapes into the world, and he's trying to, like, the old him escapes into the world. He's trying to figure shit out. So during that time, they capture young Seth, young Seth in the time frame, and they take him to some place, put him on a ventilator, and start fucking hacking pieces of him off. And like, you're watching this happen as the guy's like running away. And I'm like, it's really cool to watch, but it's like, this is not realistic anymore. Like, you're saying that by having this kid on this table and getting his loop to get to you, like, and cutting off his fingers and his nose and his feet and his legs, and like did he even ever came into your employ? Like, you're going to have to keep the guy alive on a ventilator anyways for the next 30 years to make him still arrive here at this point to be able to shoot him. It doesn't work in the loop, like as you're changing the future, because the injuries are showing up as old injuries on the older version of himself. So the fingers are just healed nubs, and the nose is like a healed, when someone gets their nose removed, like, it's healed, but it's, you're still functioning, but then like you got legs being gone, and it's like, you're saying at some point in the future, he's going to get all better. You're just going to let him go and crawl around later on. Then he wouldn't even be, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, I think what they're adding to it is, like, wherever you're at in your future self is just where you're at. Mm-hmm. So as the example, right? Like, when they, like, say, cut his pinky off or whatever it was, like when they start losing fingers, they're like, look, dude, here's your warning. We're taking you here. You're going to lose this finger. Here's proof that it happens. Like, and I think what they're showing is, like, they don't have to keep him alive for 30 years for these things to happen. dude, we cut your finger off now. Future you, no matter what, that finger that is gone is going to be gone like it's 30 years fucking ago. That is how this cell structure of our bodies works with this looping. Like, I think that's the thing that is the quote unquote science behind it. I think that's what it is. It's not this like, it's not a time travel sense in the, oh, we cut him off and now we have to wait for these things to happen.
Right.
It's no, dude, your cells are just fucking 30 years old. So like if we take your finger fucking now, that nub is just there.
Right.
That's how this goes.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with you. You're looking at straight up science of aging and bodies healing and not taking into account the effect the timeline doing this would have had. It's just strictly the science, which in
well, I don't even think it messes with the timeline.
It absolutely does. If that guy is not alive for the next 30 years to be then sent back in full pieces, like it just doesn't. But let's not think about the timeline.
But they're killing both of them.
Agreed, and
so they don't need him to loop back. They don't need it to happen. The younger version's dead too.
Well, they're
just getting rid of the loose end.
Yes. And they also, but it's more, this is less about the science of time travel and two selves interacting and two selves being in the same location as it is a plot point. It really is, because you can't just have them kill the young one because it would spoil the ending. They can't just kill young Seth and then have the old Seth just wink out, because it would make the ending nearly as like powerful as the ending of this movie is. And they also needed a way for us to already understand when young Joe sends old Joe the message on his arm. And he makes the joke about, on Saturdays, the girl named Beth works, or whatever the joke was, because he wrote like Beatrix across his arm. He's like, there's a lady who works on the weekends that's got a way shorter name you could have written on our arm.
Yeah.
So if you look into the timeline of how things work, and this may just be how it's all for plot. It's not for, like, if we go digging into the science of it, we'll fall down the goddamn.
But yeah, but I still don't think it fucks with the plot, because it's not like when he written his arm, it was just like small cuts. It wasn't like he was, lopping off limbs of any magnitude.
But this whole scene with Seth and his older self sets up what we know the relationship between the two bodies are, young and old. Like, we know what will happen, so we can kind of like guesstimate what has to happen at the end. You know what I'm saying? How he can ultimately do what he needed to do at the end of the movie. But it also doesn't change. I don't know if like when your loop arrives in your timeline, if they're now, when they arrive at your time, if you guys are linked, because what I'm kind of thinking, and like I said, we're going to go fall down a rabbit hole like we did a couple episodes ago.
That's the whole point of these time travel movies and having the different rules. Like,
the only way,
it wasn't to watch them to really review them. It was to watch them to get to these discussions.
The only way that this is feasible, because if you take me, okay, so here's the thing: if Seth, if it doesn't, whatever you do, if your older version of you arrives in your timeline, in your time frame, like in your time you're currently in, so the 30 years older you is your timeline, that event has already happened. So anything you do to yourself at that point due to your younger body shows up on that guy's body, but it doesn't affect the timeline that he's already lived out. This almost splits the timeline, like a whole different timeline. Because if you take Seth when he's in his 30 years, when he's in his younger self, and you cut everything off of him at that time, then he would have been presented with a quadriplegic, noseless, fingerless man when he initially let him run, which he was not. He was presented with a full, intact himself that he then let run on accident.
Oh yeah, because that's the start of the loop.
I mean, but you have to think that guy who arrived from the future lived 30 years. That's the guy. That's himself 30 years later, fully formed. So if you go back and dismember that person, it doesn't change the timeline he already lived, even though it is the future. It's a different future that's now not going to happen.
Okay, so this all depends on what point of view you're looking for in time.
Yeah, it does.
So if you are looking at this from the people in the future that sent Seth back.
Fully intact Seth.
Yes, fully intact Seth. To start the loop, because you have to assume that every one of these loopers, because they only get one fucking run at it, technically, because they kill themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they loop back, it's like they're changing sections of a loop. But we don't know if this is the first time, like, this is Seth being presented. Like, this is his job, right? That he doesn't know that he's getting himself sent back yet, does he?
He knows.
He just knows he gets sent somebody and he kills him.
Right. But yeah, you're right. And he usually just pulls the trigger right away with any person that's sent back to him. But they all know that at some point they're going to get a gold bars, and that's going to be that body under that hood is you.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I understand that. Okay. So what I'm saying is this is the first time, like, right? Like, so what we're seeing is like Seth signing the contract. Then the very first iteration of Seth, that 30-year Seth, happened. People in the future, their timeline has been changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they send Seth back. Seth's supposed to off himself. Then Seth just lives out his shit.
Mm-hmm.
He just goes about his business for 30 years, and then they wipe him out. So obviously, they don't really give a fuck about what else goes on. They're either looping for very specific key moments that have to change, and those are the branches that change time and future. You can look at them like that. Or the line keeps going, and then Seth hops out. But because Seth did his thing, and they don't really care about the changing happening, they took care of their moments already, they just off him. They go, all right, fine, then you're fucking gone. Because if they really cared about what was going on in the past, when they got gold barred, they would also kill that guy at the same time, every time. They wouldn't let him live out his life in any fucking way he wanted, because that would affect the future broadly, catastrophically, every single time.
Well, true. I mean, yeah, but that's the only way you get these guys to work for you, really, is saying you get to spend 30 years doing whatever you want to do, but we're going to keep tabs on you, and in 30 years we're going to pick you up, and we're going to send you back, and you're going to kill yourself. You've already done it because you started that loop. What I'm saying is that when that 30-year-old version comes back to the past, they're on a different timeline because he's there.
Yeah, but you're saying Seth's already met himself. It's impossible Seth has met himself. That means himself would have been quiet the whole time. But the fact that he was singing means it's the very first interaction of them two meeting.
Correct. Yes. He knows that he's going to come back and kill himself. Yes. He knows that's how it happened.
He doesn't know.
The old Seth who knows he's about to be sent back to himself to get himself killed, because that timeline has already shot himself. The one who made it fully intact, that's a whole different timeline, because he did kill himself and did take the gold bars and did live out his 30 years and was picked up 30 years later and was sent back. That 30-year version, when he got to that point, was like, I remember doing this. I can't do it. Like, I don't want to be the one to get shot. I'm not ready to die yet. So how can I change my mind 30 years ago in a split second? And that's when he starts singing that song. But he didn't sing the song the first time in old Seth's mind. He just did his whole thing normally.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter.
I think it's I would say it's a whole new timeline, because
I don't even think it's a whole new timeline. I think it's just the first time that interaction has been broken. So something has then changed. That's why they have to wipe them both out.
Mm-hmm.
Because normally it just goes about its business. He offs himself, realizes he offs himself after he sees the gold, and goes,
I'm going to change this 30 years from now.
I'm going to change this 30 years from now. So all their shit happens. So then when he goes back, their timeline is good. And when then he goes, oh, nope, I'm going to fucking rewrite my own timeline doing Seth shit. They go, no, you're not. We got your younger self. You're gone now. Like this new timeline you thought you were making.
Right.
But that you actually are making is not going to fucking happen.
Right.
We're killing you right now, and we just stop it in its tracks, and it's like the fact that he's not there, then everything kind of goes back to the way it was. Mm-hmm. And especially since it seems to be that everything is kind of based down to the minute. So it's unless he got to, like, something major to then, like, change somebody going left to right that then dominoed a whole bunch of shit. The fact that he's out there running by him fucking self, you know, and then kind of like, what the fuck am I doing? And then next thing you know, he's just like, oh shit, part of me's gone. Oh shit, another part of me's gone. What I'm just saying is they stop the new branch that's happening.
Right.
And the main branch just keeps going.
Yeah. Cause they definitely had to allow the younger Seth to live long enough to kill the old one, to close that loop the right way. You know what I mean? As opposed to killing the younger, cause when they close the door after Kid Blue shoots old Seth, you can hear a ventilator running as they close the door. So they didn't kill him right away. Now, whether or not they had to keep him alive on ice for 30 years, I don't know. They don't go into that, but they didn't kill him. They didn't kill younger him right away because we know that didn't happen, because we know what happens when you kill the younger one right away.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like, just speaking on the limbs, like if you lop something off and they're still there, it's going to instantly go away.
Mm-hmm. I'm not doubting that
future
part.
Person.
I'm saying that the feasibility, if we're sticking with the same, if we're not creating a new, if the timeline didn't split when he ran, which is what it did. Like when you're drawing the timeline, the minute he ran, because he went 30 years, looped back, and then instead of dying, he ran, which split the timeline to a different timeline completely. But he's such a minor factor in the world that it didn't, like, him not doing whatever he did for 30 years didn't mess anything up enough that, like, things weren't the same way they were 30 years later or whatever.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I was trying to point out earlier, like, obviously they don't care because they gold bar everybody. Those looper guys have to just be there to put these dudes out of their misery, to either two things: correct the 30 years that they did live, and it's just like we're ending timeline after timeline after timeline with these people because I don't know what the fuck else they do other than kill mysterious people that get sent back to them, right? And so the only other component that would make sense in this is that time is based on, like, key events. Everybody is so minor that it doesn't matter.
Right.
You're just a ripple. But certain things, certain people, certain moments in time, if rearranged, you know, something like kill baby fucking Hitler, will rewrite history.
Right.
But given me or you, say, what would probably, like, equate to $30 million in gold bars or some shit, like, dude, we're just gonna be rich jackasses. Mm-hmm. You know, or maybe a philanthropy. Like, none of us are ever gonna do and or invent, create, join something so great that it would rewrite history, you know?
Right.
So I think it's, like you said, they put him on the ventilator while these things were happening to, you know, for older guy to actually have them happen to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just done, dude. Like, you knew you weren't supposed to fucking do this.
And it also, the only point I was making is that, so once you've hacked all the pieces off of young Seth, when does that one grow 30 years to get sent back? He doesn't. Like, that doesn't ever happen now. But I think once you've looped back once you've been sent back to the past, you're in that timeline now, and the one you came from it's not there anymore. So you're already here. We can't stop you from being here. So we're just going to hack pieces off you. They're going to heal on your old body like they've been there for 30 years, but it's literally like real time.
Yeah. But I think it's just...
It looks really cool.
It looks really cool, but it's also one of those things, like, again, it gets to key moments. Like, the only reason Seth running away in that point is because he knows the future. Like, he knows what to do to rewrite shit at this point in time. Mm-hmm. So he's now a problem from what they've already rewritten by who they sent back for his ass to kill.
Right.
So I think with because obviously, like, a lot of these time travel guys are like one way. They're like, all right, dude, I'm going to 65 and I'm going to run that year for you, or whatever it is, so their dude that's there, that's like, hey, he's never been late, like, is just there. He's like, okay, we got rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then the chain of people that still need to come, or things that need to happen, the next looper up will just take Seth's spot. You know what I'm saying? And fill out that timeline. They're just interchangeable parts.
Yeah. I guess maybe I'm having, I don't know. It's just the whole.
Well, it's too much of the I'm a butterfly effect.
Oh, I mean, at least to his specific story. Like, when your loop runs, then because he's now in this time, then he's here. He's a part of this time, but he's also you. So that loop that has happened already has happened, and that's okay. It's separate from the new timeline that's being created by him running this time, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And that's what I'm
We're all
totally
in the
in
same
agreement
thing.
with you.
This is what happens with time travel.
I'm totally in agreement with you. I'm just saying the powers that be, like, don't give a fuck about that alternate.
Right. Especially since time travel in this world is only run by criminals only. And they have yet
seems to be, apparently, and there's no, like we said, this personal butterfly effect. Like, you obviously have to be one of the chosen of some way. Shit, you got to be fucking Beyonce or something to have any kind of effect on the cosmic ripple that is.
Well, and that's the crazy part, is that to start the movie, they tell you like the overview of time travel is that we start the movie in 1944, or 2044. Time travel has not been invented, but they tell you in 2074 it will be invented and immediately outlawed. And so that's our powers that be that ran the world in 2074 is like, this should never be used, so no one's ever going to use it. Like, okay, but it fucking exists. So why aren't you creating a time travel bureau like 2 of our 3 movies that we've watched? You have to police that.
Just say no abstinence, no time travel. Like, just say no to things really fucking works.
Right.
Like, telling someone that they can't have one thing will make 99% of everyone fucking want it.
Yep. That's exactly.
Especially something like time travel.
Yep. And so, of course, the criminals have taken over time travel, and because of how they track people in 2074, it makes murder almost impossible. Like, you can't just kill somebody because they know. I'm guessing we're to the point where, like, they know exactly where you are, what you're doing at every moment of every day. You've got a chip installed. So if chip 331 dies, and they know that chip 1754 was right next to him, you fucking killed him. So sorry. So what they do now is they send people into the past to get murdered. And I mean, to be honest, we've already talked, we just talked about, there's some iffy stuff about the time travel, but the plot and the idea of this movie is fucking cool. Like, it's a good idea. Like, okay, we'll send you back to the past, get your murder back there, throw you in an incinerator, you're good to go. Like, no problem, no sweat off our brow over here in the future. So, and 2044 is not short of people, and the people in 2074 have picked this time probably because it's one of the most destitute times in the history of the world, or at least the U.S. They're in the U.S. I don't know where they are exactly. I forget where they said they were. Maybe New Jersey or Detroit or something. But
it's always a major city,
right?
And it's always
a shithole. Yeah,
it's always bad.
It's destitute. There's just home. There is a definite divide between rich, wealthy, and poor. Like there is nothing in the middle. It doesn't look like it really, and so it means that they're not at a lack for folks who will do anything for good money, and that's what these loopers are doing. They're paid. They're given a date and a time. You go in a location. You go to your location. You put your little tarp out. You weight it down with some rocks, and you wait to the time when the person pops into existence. Which for this movie, it's a wink, kind of like Predestination. You're kind of not there, and then you're there, which is cool. Yep. I like that. Of so far of the effects we've seen for time travel, that's been my favorite. Like just where you're just like you're there. You just pop into view.
Yeah, and I like the like being sucked up by light version of a machine.
Mm-hmm, the one for this one where it like it's real, like it's like a big, like a little tiny egg you had to climb into.
Well, no, not even that. But like I'm just saying, like let's say Stargate.
Oh, okay, I know what you mean.
They have how they have the transport like with the rings, but like the effect is like the guy looking up and then it getting bright and then them kind of like particling out into the light, like that kind of like time travel sequence, you know, where they step into a device and it's not the ectoplasma kind of goo thing where they put their hand through. It's just the beam and then they're kind of like a apparition. Like I always thought that one was, to me, outside of the Blink, like the most accurate, because I just kind of always imagined a true to life rip in time of like, holy shit, dude, I cracked the math. I can see with my third eye or whatever. I figured out the infinite of pi. Like, I don't know, like whatever the answer may be, but it's like, you're faster than light. Like, you know, you apparate out. Like, you're just like kind of there. Like, I always thought that one, probably because I also really like Dragon Ball Z. So instant transmission to me is one of the coolest fucking things in the world.
I don't get that reference. Oh man, yeah. It's just we definitely get to see all kinds of cool different time travel effects in these series of movies we're watching. So it's been a good little run so far. And if we see Interstellar, you get to see the faster than light stuff. So you'll be all sorts of happy.
Yeah, who's in Interstellar? Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey in his most gloriousness, and a fucking sick ass robot that's like terrifying and awesome all at the same time. And the fact that I think they actually, at least in certain scenes, made him actually work. Like it wasn't just some CG like transform, like, you know, tennis ball on a stick. Like it was actually there. Like I think they actually made it for a lot of the scenes. It makes it even more cool because it's like some Elon Musk looking shit. Well, actually, it's not. It's a fucking like rectangle, like a rectangle. And but it can like make itself run and shit. And then like I think that was that. I think I'm on the same movie. Am I on the wrong movie? Is that an alien movie? No, it's Interstellar. It's got to be. I don't remember now. That could be completely pointless. Someone's hollering right now going, that's not that movie, but I think it's Interstellar.
Yeah, they're probably like, that's fucking Dune.
Yeah.
What are you
Quit talking
about?
Get your shit right. Fuck. You do this for a living? No, I fucking don't.
All right. Well, I don't want to watch Primer, so we'll watch Interstellar.
Yeah. But that's not next week. That's not next week.
I don't care. I don't care. I'm just, as long as I don't have to watch Primer. I will watch Primer on one of my...
I'll tell you what. I'll do you a solid.
On one of my bachelor weekends when I do my own
I'll do you a solid. I'll watch Primer, and I will come back one of these podcasts later on and go, yeah, don't or do. Because I know you well enough. Okay. I know you well enough to go,
all right.
Yeah, to go, no, you won't like it. Or I'll say you should watch it, but you're going to hate it for reasons A, B, C, and D.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. Yeah, because I've trailered it. And I've read it, and I'm like,
I don't know.
I don't think I will be able to tolerate the people that are acting in this movie.
Right.
Like and it won't be like I don't like them, or it'll just, I feel like it's going to be a whole bunch of, I wanted you to do more, or man, this was good, but I don't like any of you. Like you as actors, I don't like any of you, because like from what I'm seeing in the trailer, like it all reads and sounds cool, but then I see it and I go, my eyes are telling my brain, I don't want to visually partake in this. Where my brain's like, but the story, the science, the realism, and my eyes are going, does not fucking compute. Go away.
Right. I'll watch it. I'll let you know. But yeah, so we'll do.
Deal.
We can probably get through Edge of Tomorrow next podcast, Interstellar for the next one, and then it'll be time for Star Trek. And it'll be time for Spock.
We'll do Primer on our own.
Yeah, we'll do it on our own time. Let's see.
Right.
So these loopers, they are, like we said earlier, they're given a time and place, and people pop into existence, they blow them away, they dispose of them in ways that they have available to them. Apparently, they know, like, our main guy Joe, like, has a incinerator. So they're in Kansas City, by the way. I just saw it on the notes later on. So he's like, that's why he's in the middle of a cornfield. No fucking shit.
Explains why it's a little more rural.
Complete sense. Yeah, but he has like an incinerator at like some farmhouse somewhere that he just feeds the bodies into. So that's the main like basis of the story. And also sometime in the near past of the 2044 past, 10% of humanity like suddenly got telekinetic powers, but it wasn't like sweet X-Men style telekinetic powers. It was like, I can float a coin a few inches off my hand telekinetic powers. Like nothing that's usable. Like you're not the next evolution of man. You just have a nice party trick that you can show, but who gives a shit? You know what I mean? So this is introduced because of the ending, of course, as well, but it's like the only TK, which what they call it, they've seen has just been this minor little rinky-dink, look, I can float something that weighs nothing. No one's ever been anything bigger than that. So
yeah, that's true.
We meet Joe. He's a looper. He does his thing. We see him in his daily routine. We meet Abe, who is his boss, played by Jeff Daniels, marvelously, because Jeff Daniels doesn't play a bad part in any movie or show he's ever been in. And the fact that the man can play a general in the Civil War and then play across from Jim Carrey and be just as funny shows the range that man has on the screen. I mean, it's just, he's in Gods and Generals or whatever, one of that Civil War movies.
I still remember when younger me, watched Dumb and Dumber for the first time. And I remember my parents going, holy shit, man, that's fucking Jeff Daniels.
Right.
Like, because they knew him from other things. And I'm just like, who's this kind of goofy motherfucker that's honestly so far just as funny as Jim Carrey is, right?
Holding his own against Jim Carrey, absolutely.
Yeah, and then I got a little older, and I saw some shit with him in it, and I was like, holy fuck, that's the same guy. Like, oh my God. Yeah. It was still, because I remember, like, when Dumb and Dumber came out, like, kind of looking at my parents like, what the fuck are you kind of, like, amazed about? It's just some dude doing some slapstick shit that fucking, don't get me wrong, is hysterical.
Well, what's crazy is that he played, so what I'm speaking about is Gettysburg. He was in Gettysburg. The problem was he was in Gettysburg in 93 and in Dumb and Dumber in 94. So, like, he went straight from playing, like, he played Colonel Chamberlain in Gettysburg. So he went from, like, serious, really, really, really fucking serious character to Harry in Dumb and Dumber. I mean, he's been, recently I watched him and I love The Newsroom. You want to talk about, that's a show that people either love or hate. And I
tried to give it a,
I know you did, because I kept telling you, like, you got to watch it. But
and I was just like, dude, I can't get into it. And then I appreciated it for what it was. Like, I was totally like, I get why certain people like this show. Like, it's just not a show genre that I will find interesting.
Right.
And even with the
opening scene, the opening scene is what catches everybody, because you're like, yeah, I like this guy. He tells it like it is. And then, like, you realize it's just about a newsroom. If you're not ready to follow that, you're like, fuck this show.
Yeah, well, even with the like the side stuff, like the personal stuff, I was like, this is almost too depressing.
Right, getting in the
like,
way
this
of
guy, like you guys couldn't have gave this dude like one okay thing. Like it wasn't like a Californication down and out on your luck. Like, oh, I'm heartbroken, but I fuck every hot thing in the world that walks by and I do drugs and I have a good time, but I'm just self-destructive. This was like, hey, I report god-awful things. I deal with god-awful people. Mm-hmm. And oh, by the way, any sense of what should love me in life is also god-awful. And I was like, no way, man. You can't do that. Too much intensity in this show.
Right. But
like, little too real.
Yeah. So anyways, but that's, Jeff Daniels. That's what threw your parents off because they watched him in Gettysburg the year before is what happened. And they're like, wait a second. Yeah. So, what else? Abe, Jeff Daniels' character Abe, he runs the mafia that's there in Kansas City, and he's actually runs, I think, the whole Looper network. He was sent back from the future to run the show in the past for all the guys in the future. He's the contact in the past, and he has his whole crew set up, and he has a bunch of Gat men, which are just, you have Loopers use what is only equivalent to like a blunderbuss. Like it's just a big sawed-off shotgun that just, you can't, they call it like, what do they call it? Like 15, something about 15 meters because you can't miss within that distance with that gun because it just sprays that entire area with buckshot or whatever.
Oh yeah. It's the whole point of that gun is the spray radius of that gun is that mat.
Yeah, you put it
basically. So like a dartboard, mark your line, put that mat down. Anything you shoot in that direction will just be pulverized.
Right. But the Gat men, they carry big ass revolver guns, and they're just kind of like the hired muscle of the mafia guy, and that's where we have. I want to give the guy's name out because he does a great. Noah Sagan plays Kid Blue, and the Kid Blue character is just. He's like the picked on. He's like one of the top Gat men, but also like picked on by Abe like all the time. So he's always trying to like prove himself, and like that whole like need to prove himself for Abe and need to excel further up the chain is what gets a lot of the stuff set in motion for the movie. So the guy, he's a pretty ruthless motherfucker at the end of it all. And yeah, he's a pretty good guy, pretty good actor who does the thing. The character is does what it needs to do. So also in their main like explanation where they talk about closing the loop, which is where one of the people comes in for you to kill. They always come in with their arms like in a straitjacket and their head bagged. You shoot them, you cut open the back of their jacket, and there's silver bars taped to their back. That's your normal day-to-day killing. When you cut open their jacket and there's gold bars, you know that you've closed your loop. You don't ever know it's coming. You don't know when it's going to happen, but you know that you're going to close at some point you're going to get those gold bars. That means you're done. You're retiring from looping. You're going to take your money and run for 30 years. And so they, this bar that Joe hangs out at, you have guys throwing parties all the time. Like, I closed my loop. There's all these like closed loop parties. Like guys like, you're suddenly rich, which is great, but you also just blew yourself away. So, it's like now do you ever people, it's kind of like that whenever you talk about time travel or talk about, knowing the future, the past, like, do you want to know the day you die? Do you want to know what your death date is? So these guys know their death date. There's a timer now. Like, you can just set a timer on Google. Like, set a timer for 30 years.
Yeah. Me personally, like, I would love for someone to come through my front door and go, this is the date you die, here's the proof. And like no defining argument. Like, not granted, like I would really, really suck if it was like tomorrow or tonight or a couple minutes from now. But let's just say for all purposes, it's like you get to live a normal life for most parts that you kind of think in your head. I would love that. Because I would go, okay, so outside of me doing something extremely stupid, like jumping in front of a car or shooting myself in the head or drinking myself to death, I'm not gonna die. Like, I know that I'm gonna get this and raise to this, or like, dude, knowing that would take such a load off of me personally. Like, if I knew, and obviously, like I said, this was within like what you would consider a cool range to die in, I would be perfectly okay. I'm like, hell yeah, dude, that is, woo. Now, if it was like I didn't know about it and I cut open a couple of gold bars and I was like, oh shit, I just killed myself, I'd probably have a lot to process and drinking and celebrating and also feeling really sad for my own personal well-being at that moment in time too, because I just shot myself would feel very weird. But yeah, dude, I personally believe a lot of people would love to know when they die. And especially if it was, you get to live till you be old. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, everyone would be like, okay, now that, like, and I'm not saying you get told how you die. Like, it still may be god awful. Like, your last 6 months could just be you sitting in a bed and a fucking vegetable, but feeling everything to the nth degree and hating life. Right. I don't know. But I still feel like that would be such a weight off a lot of people because the whole unknown would go, okay, cool. I now know what I need to do in an amount of time to make things happen. Like, if I know I got 50 years from now to live till I'm 85 to make shit happen, I know I can do a lot in 50 with my mind to it. Because in 35, I've done a pretty good with really only applying myself when need be. So I feel like me, right, that would be a personal fire lit under my own ass to make sure that shit happens. Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks would like to know that if only the answer was 50 years from now, you know.
Yeah. No, there's total stipulations on that. Like, but you know, like, and I don't know. You're right. You know, like knowing a week from now, like that would suck. But also maybe you do if you had a week to live. And I also feel like it kind of has to be like that Justin Timberlake movie. Like, you know, you turn 24 and then you stay, right? You know, like.
What a great movie, by the way.
Yeah, that's a really good movie,
Nothing to do with time travel.
I love that movie. That movie's fantastic.
I think I cried a shit ton at the end of that. Is that right? Did I cry at the end of that? Did you cry?
You may have.
I cried a lot of stuff. Hard. It
hits you hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cry more than I should probably for a man of my age at this point.
I cry at any point something on the TV is supposed to make me feel that. Like if it's supposed to be that way, like if what they're showing me on the screen is like, this is when you're supposed to tear up, I am automatically like quivering lower lip, like crying, like bad. Like at least like the whole like, oh, am I welling up? Like I'll get like that. Like not like outward like bawling. The only time I outward bawled in the last like 10 years at a movie or show is the finale of Sons of Anarchy. I'm not even afraid to. I am not even ashamed to admit that shit. And if anybody here watched that entire show and did not bawl your fucking eyes out at the very last scene with what's his name's character? It's been a while.
Yeah, because it was so.
It was. I forgot his name now. Yeah, I know, right? Damn it! I know Ron Perlman, but I can't think of the other guy's name. Only because Ron Perlman's name was Clay in that movie. So,
oh, nice.
That's what I'm talking about. But yeah, no, that the finale. Oh man.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I have outwardly cried at like TV and or movie. Now there are like I said, Into the Spider-Verse. Like I welled up like 6 times in that movie, where it was to the point where like I couldn't blink to make it go away, and if I did
tears
blink, just 2 gigantic crocodile tears would like roll down my face. Like it was like just edging on my eyelid like an infinity pool. Like it was like, all right, man, we're almost there.
No, see the welling happens all the time. The tears when it overflows is standard, and like open bawling has only been Sons of Anarchy. That's the only time I've ever done that. Like to the like uncontrollably sobbing, and I'm like, I haven't sobbed like I don't. When have I like one of my breakups in high school? Like the last time I did that was like breakup in high school. I was like, I don't even fucking. That's the last time I've bawled like this. Like Jesus Christ. Like I'm not even lying. It's crazy.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. So but I remember my wife and I went to see Crazy Rich Asians, and like the end of that movie, like the impact of what was happening as they steamrolled it too. Like the whole movie was a nice, funny, and emotional rom-com type thing going on, but like at the end, dude, like at the start of the Mahjong game, and I'm a white round-eyed motherfucker, and I don't even understand Mahjong, but like as the game was playing, and you knew what she was doing because of the conversation they were having, like, and then it went on from there, and then snowballed all the way to the end. Like I was like, it was just just tear, just kept coming. They just kept going over the lid, man. I couldn't hold them back. And I was like, shit. Just because, and it's so not great. Just the sad, it's actually happy. It's all the, it's the sad and the happy tear stuff.
It's cool that someone that isn't like your child or like someone that, is super close to you in your heart, right? That just some jackass that can like write a movie and or a book or a TV show or something or an inspirational poster can like make you read or see or hear something and feel certain things. Like, it's ridiculous.
No, you said inspirational posters. So now I do is like all I see you now is like walking by in the office and seeing like the kitten hanging onto the stick, just hanging there, and I see you like walking by today being like, oh shit, like well enough.
I do have an inspirational poster. It is not a actual poster on the wall, but it rotates on my computer backgrounds quite often, and it's a flowchart, and pretty much it just gets to the point of like, why worry? It's, it goes, do you have a problem? Yes or no? Yes, I have a problem. Do you know the solution? Yes or no? Yes, I know the solution. So why are you worrying about it? No, I don't know the solution. Okay. But is there anything you can do about it? Yes or no? Yes, I can fix and find a solution. Then why worry? No, there's no solution.
Worry?
Then why worry? And it all loops back to it. But it's just this, I put it up there because sometimes you almost break things down too many times, and then those little things that you've broken down become a giant list of shit that you can't unsee. And sometimes you just kind of have to go, yeah, it needs to be a little mushy, and I just need to know that I'm going to get through it. I'm going to be okay. So like, why am I really sweating super hard about stuff? And that thing never fails to like be there when I need it. Like, if just something's weighing on my head, I see that thing, and then I kind of think about what's going on in my brain, and I'm like, okay, you've already told yourself what you're going to do about it, or you already know it's something you can't change, so why are you doing what you're doing to yourself? And then usually, like, super confident Corey kind of chimes in from the background and is like, hey, you're a beautiful, beautiful man.
You're a good-looking man. You ain't got to worry about anything.
You're a good-looking man. You're okay. You're fine.
Oh, man. This feel-good moment brought to you by nobody in particular, but Corey, for sure.
Yeah, man. I'm always dropping truthitudes of happiness and sunshine and rainbows these days.
Right. So, okay, so back to the movie. So we see Joe's day-to-day stuff, killing a bunch of people. He parties at night. We meet Seth. We learn that Joe's hooked on some sort of eyedropper stimulant drug of some sort. They didn't really go into it, but we know it's a drug, right? He says she gets him clean, so yeah, it's some sort of bad substance.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's like a addiction, like alcohol or heroin, or would be like, I don't know if it's a drug like that, or if it's like something's happened and I've taken this
so good I can't stop type thing.
Yeah, but he's also still kind of dependent on it. Like it'll always be there, but it's kind of like, hey man, if you fucking overdo it, like you're going to get hooked on that shit. And he's kind of like, I'm a seasoned vet at this point and I'm always going to kind of need it.
Yeah.
Thing. It didn't seem like it was like a dude jonesing for something, but it was also like a guy, but he knew he needed it. Kind of like me with insulin. It's weird. Because there's been times where I've taken a shower and unhooked my insulin pump, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta go. So I hop in the car and I forget to connect the motherfucker back to my ass.
Literally your ass.
Literally my ass. Yes, it's sometimes. But then I'm totally almost in a crack fever because I'm like, I gotta get fucking insulin. I don't have insulin. I'm gonna fucking die. I don't have fucking insulin. What the shit? Or if there's some hang up with my strips.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't touch my blood sugar for a few days. I'm like, yo, dude, I need this shit. Like, and I start fucking twitching, and like, I'm like, I need to know what my numbers are. God damn it.
Yeah, I mean, they do show him when he's old. When they do show older Joe when he's met his wife, like when he says she gets him clean, like you see him like detoxing in bed, and she's like taking care of him and shit. So it's some sort of dependent something. But yeah, they don't ever go into it.
Functioning, whatever he is, and whatever.
Yeah, definitely. And also enough to run through the money way too early. Like his 30-year money like dies way too early. So whatever drug it is expensive because he runs through his money so quick in his first timeline of getting old that like has to go and work again as like a hitman for somebody else. So it's definitely expensive, whatever it is. So.
Must be a good party.
About to say, so we see him partying. We see him. His Seth is a good friend of his, at least as good of a friend as he can have. Then Seth shows up one night in like a fevered panic, and he says his loop came in, and because they all saw that loops. The big thing was that they were noticing a lot more closed loop parties at the club. Like a lot more loops were getting closed, and like it was like everybody knew about it because you knew it was going to happen at some point. But it seemed like every other night somebody was throwing a closed.
Like this is the third one
this week.
This week, like what the fuck is going on?
Right.
Yeah.
So Seth runs into his apartment. He's like, fuck, I fucked up. I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. And we talked about his loop coming in, started singing this song about his mom. He couldn't shoot him, or singing the song his mom used to sing to him. And then old Seth, when he finally decides to tell him he doesn't kill him, old Seth tells him about the Rainmaker and the guy in the future who's taken over all the mafias, and that's why all the loops are closing quickly because this guy is taking over all of the crime in the future and is closing all these loops. Hates loopers. He's getting rid of all of them. So that's bad for all the loopers, and it tells Joe what he needs to know. He hides Seth, takes off. Hides Seth in his apartment, like in his floor safe. But he takes off. The Gat men catch up with Joe. They take him to Abe, who's like, I know you have Seth. Like, I know you have Seth, and I also know you've been storing half your silver. So tell me where he is, or just give me half your silver. I'm not going to kill you. You're a great looper. You're a great, you're a great looper. Like, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm going to take half of what you've stored away for a rainy day. So
yeah, like, look, I know this is a tough call, kid, but this has to happen. So either lose part of your future or just give them up. Like, you all signed up for this. This isn't a moral high ground, right? Like, you signed the contract. He signed the contract. Everybody before you signed the contract. This is what happens when you renege on your contract. Like, and I love how it's kind of like friends, but also like a father-y son kind of interaction, like a mutual.
Yeah,
like,
it's definitely like he's talking to him like talking to his kid or to a really good like younger friend. Yeah.
Yeah, like or and definitely
not for real, but that's
like,
just a tone he uses.
Yeah. But it's this like protege mentor kind of vibe kind of thing, and it's like, hey, look, I really respect you, and I mean, if I had to choose a favorite, it's you. But we also know I'm never going to truly choose the favorite, so let's get real with the subject here. Like, I kind of like the underlying tone of all of it, like, you have a choice, but you don't have a choice.
I love that, so we see Joe while he's waiting for his kills to come in, he's learning French, because his whole plan is to, cash in his silver and move to France. And during this conversation with Abe, he's like, go to China. He's like, don't go to France. Like, I'm from the future. I know things.
Yeah.
He's like, don't go to France. So that I thought that was interesting in that scene. But in the end, Joe gives up Seth. When he goes back to his apartment, they're already in there. They've taken Seth. They didn't take all his money, which I actually expected them to like take his money, like take it anyways. Be like, you know what? I'm gonna take half no matter what. So sorry.
I think this is one of those, like, how do I put this? Good drug dealers are great businessmen.
Mm-hmm.
good crime people are great businessmen. Like, their deals get done. Like, they don't fuck with the money because that is what keeps everybody chugging along. So if he did something like that, every other looper would be like, what the fuck? It just causes an unnecessary ripple. If anything, he probably would have left Seth's money too and just been like, for your inconvenience.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
You know, kind of thing. Like, hey, here's a little extra, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Right? You know?
Yeah. So then we go through what we talked about already. When they have Seth, they've taken Seth. Joe goes on about his day, but we see the travels of old Seth in the new world, you know, this new timeline he's in, running around trying to escape and get somewhere. And he has the address appear on his arm of where he's supposed to go, like in scarred writing. And then as he's like ignoring that, his fingers start to disappear. And then as he's driving to the location, like his nose disappears. And then one of his feet are gone. And then as he's like hopping to the door, like his other foot goes. So he's crawling and he finally gets the door, bangs on it. They open the door and Kid Blue shoots him in the head. Like, and that's it. And they close the door. And as you close the door, you see in the background like a hospital bed and monitors and shit and just blood and on sheets. And he's like, there's just a bloody mass laying there on the sheets. And it's just like, that won't be that. That sucks. That's a bad time. I mean, because you could literally, I mean, the way things are working, and as we talked about, you could literally walk in there, kill young Seth, and then the body you just had in the alleyway just disappears.
Yeah,
it just goes away, which is like the greatest cleanup ever. I mean, it's literally what it is.
But I think this was more of an example. Mm-hmm. Like like the dismemberment.
They didn't have to do that. They could have just shot Seth.
This wasn't the first one was you lost a finger, come back, and they gave him the address, and it was like, look, dude, you're gonna die. Just fucking come back. And which to me, like, if I was future Seth and someone just took a digit from me and said, come back, like, the last thing I would do would be finding a way to get back, especially the way the other limbs quickly came off. Like, what are you going back to,
right,
homie?
You're not going to put that shit back
like,
on.
What do you think they're going to stitch your old person back together and Frankenstein you fucking now? Right? Like, obviously, they just left your ass there, dude.
Yep.
Like,
yep. So Seth is no more. At least old Seth is. Probably young Seth too. But anyways,
yeah. I mean, it's definitely got to be like that group of loopers does their thing for the future timeline. But as long as, that's exactly what it is. As long as the head guy in the mob is still in charge and his shit's running fine because he's the guy that controls the looping, he doesn't give a fuck what happens anywhere else.
Right.
And if there is, and he probably knows that when they go back to that 30 years from that time, there's no major events that they can fuck up.
Right. They haven't become some giant philanthropist that'll be missed in 30 years. Right.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, now that I put the evil bad guy controlling all of the time travel, like, the dismemberment is for show, even though he did break his loop, like, none of them do enough to fuck with shit, and as long as the big guy is still in charge, he really doesn't care what goes where.
Right.
It's no bother to him. And anything that is a bother, he just gets rid of because he sends it back in time and it goes away.
Yep, exactly. And something else to bring up during this conversation between Seth and old Seth when he's talking about the Rainmaker is that it seems to be this Rainmaker person that no one's ever seen seems to be taking over these mob bosses by himself. Like, he's not bringing a crew. He's not running with an army of guys to take over these well-established future mafia bad guys. Like, he's just doing it by himself. No one knows how he's doing it. That's something that doesn't play out to the very end of the movie, but it is brought up here during that conversation. So Joe goes back to his old daily routine after the thing with Seth happens. He's going to his diner, meeting his, the waitress apparently speaks French, so he kind of speaks French back to her, kind of practicing with what he's doing. So he gets, like we said earlier, he gets the letter, or he gets his notification of, hey, Thursday at 11:10 or whatever, you're going to be killing this next person. And so he's there waiting, doing his normal thing. And then it's 11:10 and nothing's happened. And then it's like a minute or two later and nothing has happened. So he's like, well, what the shit? So and then suddenly the guy arrives. The guy's head isn't bagged and his arms aren't tied around his waist, like in the straitjacket or whatever. And so Joe's like, he's startled for just enough for that guy to turn around and use the gold bricks to block the bullet shot.
That protection,
which is fucking genius, and that's great. So he blocks it, and then as Joe's trying to reload, he runs up to him and, knocks him the fuck out. Like, just there's not much of a fight that happens.
Yeah, dude, I really thought that was going to be like a throwdown, and that was more of just like a hoo-ha, over. Like, right. Gone.
So when Joe wakes up, he finds a note that tells him to immediately get out of town. Not doing this, Joe goes back to his apartment, young Joe, and finds the Gatmen are already there cleaning out his shit, like taking his money. Like they know his loop has gotten away already. And so Kid Blue is like in his safe, and like he locks him in the safe. He's like, I'm going to fix this. Please just don't tell Abe, tell Abe I'm going to fix this. I like how he's apologizing the whole time while running away and getting shot at by the other guys who are there. Like to the point of like climbing down the fire escape and like falling onto a car, as the guy's like shooting at him, like out the window. So, which is interesting because they were already trying to kill him, like shoot him. Like if they had shot him there. So I guess you're right. The Seth thing must have been I don't know, just for fun.
Yeah, dude, I think that the bad guy shit with Seth was the bad guy being a, like, not figurative bad guy. Like, he's actually the sick, twisted one. Like, hey, this is the dude that runs the stuff, and then he's the guy that the big man looks at and goes, take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then he's the one that gets his fucking hands dirty. So I think a lot of that Seth shit was pure entertainment for him and pure like alpha dominance. Like, look, dudes, this is your outcome if you do this shit. Like, none of you get to make it. So either off yourself, then get your gold bars and go about your fucking business, or don't ever get that chance. Right. Like, we will just stop the loop and you will never get that chance to have fucking fun.
And so when young Joe falls onto the car from the fire escape and blacks out, we then get like this flashback to how the old timeline would have run if he had just went ahead and shot himself. Like if he shows up bagged, shoots himself, gets his gold bars, he moves to Shanghai because Abe told him to, because he said don't move to France. And then we see like this whole step through of, went through the money, then he didn't have any more money, and then he was a hired gun for a while, and then did this, that, and then he met this hot lady, and then they got married, or they got together, and she cleaned him up, and he got like right for like the last few years of his 30 years, stint, and then he gets picked up. And
he found love.
Yeah, he fell in love and everything was right. And he didn't want to go with 30 years. And so they came to get him, killed his wife on accident during the scuffle. And they still took him to the warehouse where he was going to be sent back in time. He fought. He got the gold bars taped onto him. But then he broke a fight out, which is what extended the time of him arriving in the past. And then he went ahead and jumped, after beating the guys, he went and jumped in this time machine. And I love how, like, rickety, like, just metal bits and pieces and wiring and mesh that, like, made the capsule you sit in to go back in time. Like, it is not a comfy little ride at all. Like, it's just a claustrophobic nightmare to me. Like, when he got in that thing, like a little egg.
Yeah, that thing was a, like, prime example of like a kingpin contraption, like a bad guy hiring scientist under the radar, but it wasn't tuned to the degree of like Marvel and just in like DC.
There was no money
where,
involved.
Like, where the bad guy has infinite amount of money and, you know, the best scientists who all just happen to be evil doing this shit. This was like, I hired a college kid who had a physics degree but had like loose morals,
a coke
and
habit,
took a large chunk of fucking change and a coke habit to make this machine, right? Like, and this is what you got. Like, you know, it works, but there is no safety standards whatsoever.
Right. Absolutely. It's just, I just watched it and like, you know, it's the bright light and the shaking and the craziness, and it's
well, don't go in that space machine at like Disney World then. Like, you won't make it.
Yeah, right.
They do that. I don't remember which Disney it's at, but there's like one that's like a trip to Mars or whatever. And I took Brody on that thing when she was little because she was all super pumped to go to Mars, and that was like, the capsule comes down and the screen's within like an inch of your fucking face and shit, and you're like strapped in and it rocks and shakes and simulates. Dude, she was losing her shit. Flipping the fuck out. Like, to the point where like I'm hitting the emergency button to like stop our machine, like get us out of here. So if that little capsule thing, like just watching it bothered you, like, you nor any of your children ever need to go experience that ride. You guys will all be ruined.
Possibly. Yeah, you never know. The last bit of the flashback shows him in this timeline running from after beating Joe from not shooting him to then like seeing his young self fall off the fire escape, and like he's the one that drags his body to safety after he takes a shot at the bad guy on the top of the fire escape.
Well, he probably also knows he needs to, because otherwise he's dead too. Old Joe like saves himself because he knows that like if he just left him on the car and the bad guys like just poked their head over and fucking filled him with holes, that he's dead too. So he's like, oh, God damn it, he didn't get away. Fuck, let me go help my own self real quick, so I'm still here.
True. Old Joe saves young Joe, pulls him aside, but like leaves him. And then we see him go to the library, looks up some numbers, like just we don't know anything about them except he has some numbers written on his hand. And then as he's doing this, he sees the same little arrow that Seth was seeing, where it's like, hey, look down your wrist. And then you see the word Beatrix form on his arm. And so he's like, okay. So he meets young Joe at the diner. And that's when he makes a joke about, you know, there's a lady who works here on the weekends whose name is Sue. I think it was Sue. It's like 3 letters. He's like, you could have written that name. So they have their conversation. And this is cool because we've talked about this in past episodes with time travel, is that as Joe is changing this new timeline, this is where it kind of doesn't fucking add up. As things are changing from how it used to be, Joe is getting like time download. Like old Joe is getting time downloads of the new memories his young self is making. I know that probably didn't come out as smart as I thought it sounded.
That sounds
so he's
like
getting
he's getting updated.
Yeah, he's getting updated. So like during their conversation, at some point he realizes, he's like, I do know that you have that fucking whatever stuff between your legs, the gun you have, like you're hiding between your legs, and don't pull it out because I'll fucking murder you. Like he knows everything that's happening as it's happening to young Joe, the new stuff, but it takes him a second to like for time to catch up to him. That's the first time we've like it's been brought forward as a plot point in the movies we've watched so far. Because usually it's just like one guy showing back up and like, why does no one know anything? You know, that's more like, you know, remember when I was like, how does Time Cop work if every time you show up, shit's completely different and nobody has any idea of it happening? But then you're still tracking things that happened in the past that aren't supposed to happen. Like that's that whole, we went down that rabbit hole in that episode. This is the first time it's like, here's the mind dump of you like catching up to what you missed, which is cool. I liked it. It was very cool. So anyways, they're talking. Joe's like, hey, you know, Rainmaker's fucking shit up. I've come back to kill baby Hitler. Is literally what this is that thing. He's like, I've got to find him, and I'm gonna take him out now so he can't go into the future, kill all the people, come get me and get my wife killed. Like the woman I love. It's all about his wife. It's all about me. So it's okay, great. What he doesn't know is did they say that young Joe had already called them, or that they just found them because they knew he'd be there?
I don't remember. I think it was probably just like, these are his hot spots. Everybody go to these locations. Like, I used a credit card. Well, don't go home now. Kind of thing. Like, why would you go to the pub that you frequent all the fucking time?
Yeah.
And also, too, like, there would have been a much easier way to get him to go somewhere. Especially now if there's a mind dump going on, because they've now altered off of the original far enough that events are changing slightly.
Right.
So right now it's only his memory. Like, he could have just went to a Wendy's, set the fuck down, and like wrote on a piece of paper, show the fuck up now, and like timed it, and like as that new memory was created, he would have been like, oh, okay, the Wendy's on 3rd. Right. I got it. I'll fucking be there. Instead of having like his arm all cut up.
That makes it happen right away, because the time dumps don't happen in real time. They take a minute to catch up.
Yeah, but even then, it seems to be within a reasonable amount of time. Like, you could have gone without scarification. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have just changed something.
He wanted to show
and made it.
He wanted to show himself he meant business.
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm fucking cutting my own self now. I can feel.
I do like the young whippersnapper conversation that I'm sure Bruce Willis has on a daily basis in real life, but like he's having it with the younger version of himself. I thought it was great. But anyways, the Gatmen find them. There's a big shootout in the diner. Old Joe realizes that young Joe still wants to kill him anyways. He still wants to, and so like the whole where young Joe's like getting shot at by the Gatmen, but then also like running with the Gatmen after his older self, and they're like, what are you doing? Fucking go. Like, go get him. Like, and at some point they like realize that he's running with them, and then they turn on him, and he has to run back and like hotwire the speeder bike that the guy that old Joe, drove there originally or whatever. And I thought that was a funny little scene that happened.
Yeah, that was some like subtle comic relief that I don't think if you were paying attention you would have got. Because essentially it was like an old school Bugs Bunny, like Donald Duck, like yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So it was him running, and then like the bad guys are like, oh, cool, we got an extra. And then all of a sudden, like, wait a minute, I don't need to chase that guy. I can just shoot you. Yep. And him still thinking that like, hey, if I get this, I can still live out my 30. Right, like, we'll be good. We'll be good. Don't worry about it. And they're like, nah, dude, I don't think you realize you already lost your golden ticket. By the fact that old version of you came up and did this, you don't get that chance anymore. That's not how we work.
Yep. So during the scuffle, young Joe gets one of the 3 numbers, like the info. There's 3 locations. There's 3. Old Joe did the research, circled 3 spots on a map, and apparently with his conversation, he got a call when he was old in the future from an old looper buddy giving him some information on the Rainmaker and how to find him in the past. That's all he knew. It was at this number on my hand that I wrote 10 minutes ago in the future means something now. So he went and searched it. He found 3 locations. We don't know what they are yet. Young Joe has one of the 3 because he tore it off during the scuffle. Young Joe heads to that location on the map. He's in a cornfield, and then we see Emily Blunt's character. It's a farm. She's got a little boy, and she sees Joe like creepily in the cornfield, like just hanging out on the outskirts. It's just a standard mother protecting her son, grabs a big shotgun, does a lot of threatening, doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, I live on a farm. I own a shotgun. Like, you fucking come this way, and this double barrel will blow you to smithereens.
Yeah.
Yakety yak yak yak. Like, I wish like a farmer would come out with like a more assault rifle-y gun on a regular, because I always feel like it's just always a shotgun. Like, where I kind of also feel like a lot of farmers at this point are dudes that got ARs. So,
you're not shooting a rabbit at 100 yards with a shotgun. You got to have yourself a...
Well, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, they probably, like, I feel like the go-to would be some rifle that's just kind of, like, right there instead of some, like, you know, pump-action shotgun. It's like, dude, not all farmers are shooting T-1000s.
Spray and pray is all you need, baby. But he shows during, you know, they have their filling out portion, but at some point he shows her the piece of the map and he goes, all I know are these numbers in this location. And she recognizes the numbers as being Sid's birthday and the serial number of the hospital there he was born at. So we know that Joe went and looked up the kids that were born at this hospital on this date. And there's 3 apparently, Sid being one of them. And then we get, like, fucking Bruce Willis murdering kids for, you know, I was like, are we going to show Bruce Willis blowing this kid away at the doorstep? And I was like, oh, he pulled the trigger. I was like, all right. I was like, I'm not cool with killing kids on movies, but I mean, you know, we got to make sure we don't feel too much for him because he is Bruce Willis and everybody loves him.
Yeah, but it's also one of those things too where like they made the thing that Bruce Willis is like coming back for so evil that you go, if the crime wave was bad enough to send people back into the future because the policing at the time was so good that the only way you could get rid of
in the past, you mean,
was to go to the past, right? So in the future, like, you just don't fuck with crime, really. Like, you're a bad guy, but I don't do any bad kind of things, kind of thing. You just kind of shift people out of your way and get more of a yes man.
Yeah, not murder.
To be. Yeah. If the Rain Man's coming through and wiping out mafias by himself and
he's a ghost.
Just annihilating them and then hunting down specific people. And so far, all we really know of Bruce Willis is like, well, he seems to be killing shady people anywho, that are just not cooperating with bad people already. And then he got better and he fell in love. He's cool. And honestly, the person that he's killing is really going to grow up to be a totally fucking piece of shit.
One of the 3. He's going to kill all 3 to make sure.
I know, but it goes to that, is it a million or one? You know, like, where does your conscience, what line does your conscience draw at a certain point? Like, for me personally, if I knew I got up to probably 25 would probably be my limit. But I could off 25 children knowing that one of them may be Hitler.
Wow.
If I was conditioned, like, because I'm telling you, like, the dudes that are in Looper and, like, Willis at this point, like, they've all killed so many fucking things and, like, they're numb inside. So, like, I'm saying, like, if I was a Jason Bourne operative kind of like thing, like, and I've killed people over and over and over and over, to go off 3 back in time to possibly save the woman I love, really not going to be fucking any sweat off my back, especially thinking that if I don't do this, the most evil thing that anybody's ever seen so far is coming. I could take my chances with another. Like, I honestly really could, but I also know that I would never ever be put in that scenario, so I can just talk about that till the fucking cows come home. Like, sure, whatever, dude, throw a number at me. It's all arbitrary at this point.
Oh man, well, so as Bruce Willis is murdering children, young Joe is getting to know Sid better, even though much to his mother's chagrin. Like, he's real smart. The kid's real smart. He puts shit together, builds transistors, all kinds of stuff. There's actually an Easter egg. It's not an Easter egg, but it's a hint to his to who he is in his bedroom. There's a like kids like old school like wanted poster, and it says like wanted like Bad Bill or something. And like the way Bad Bill looks, he's like the standard like cowboy, black coat, black like flat rimmed hat. And he's dressed exactly as the men who pick up Bruce Willis in the future are dressed. So the guys who work for the Rainmaker or whoever, they're all dressed like that. So, you know, that was just kind of one of those like, oh, that's where it came from. Like, that's why he's wearing that stuff. So those guys who are closing all the loops work for the Rainmaker. That's what they're wearing. So that was kind of cool. old Joe goes to the next house after killing the first kid, goes to the next house, turns out to be the house of the stripper that like he used to hang out with at the club or whatever. And it's like her kid. So we learn more about Sid. At one point, like him and Sarah are having like an argument, Sid is, and like he starts to lose his temper. And she, instead of like doing standard mom things, like runs in her closet and like hides in a safe. And you're like, oh, he's not just a TK, like he's TK with some powers. Like he makes the house shake when he gets angry. So imagine trying to keep a 5-year-old calm all the time and never get angry. That's a nightmare. That scares me just thinking about it. So we know, and so we surmise that Sarah, we learn Sid's like, Sarah's not my mom. I call her Sarah. My mom is dead. And I'm guessing that Sid lost it one time when he was even younger and killed his mom. So yeah, Sarah takes him in. So later on, a Gat Man arrives at the farm, looking for Joe, and he gets away with Sid's help. Like Sid is like super smooth during this whole like, no, now come, now wait, now come down in the basement. Now it's perfect. Like he moves Joe through that house while the Gat Man's talking to Sarah. Like it's really cool. So,
but it also goes to show you how, like, because one of the things that like makes the Rainmaker so scary is how he's doing what he's doing, and no one really knows how he's doing what he's doing, but the fact that we know that Sid is most likely the Rainmaker, and the fact that a boy his age is fluently in a motion of stop and go, left, right, duck, crawl, boom, like, and the fact that like every command is spot on with what he needs to do, and what I really liked about it was the perfect amount of detail, right? Like, you know, like when you're trying to describe something to someone, you know, like pick out the main features. Like that's all you need to do, right? And he's just like, look, dude, you just stop here on the third step kind of shit, you know? And it's like, the fact that it's like that, and when you watch it and you're realizing that he's just a fraction out of sight, just enough for that split second turn to happen for then him to go 2 steps in another direction. Like, it really, really makes you appreciate the mental capacity of that young man. Like, when you really think about what he's doing, you're like, that kid is, like, I already know he's special because his mom just fucking went in a goddamn
right.
safe. But when this kid is calm, he's still
super smart.
Like, yeah, but he's still powerful is
right.
like what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not like just a mental physical thing. Like, he's so smart and intelligent that even by him just using his words, he can influence things that are going on because he can see everything that is fucking happening. It's crazy. It's like listening to like a superstar athlete like recall every play from a game they were just in, you know, like, oh, like when Aaron Rodgers is like, well, I think on third they had that 23 and fucking blah, blah, blah. And then we ran this, and he like describes every player on the field. You're like, that's why you're a pro. It's not because you're physically gifted. Yes, that helps, but that is why you're a professional athlete.
Right.
Like that right there.
So Sid hiding Joe is good enough. Jesse, the Gat Man, leaves, but then returns later, and Joe's already up. Joe and Sid are upstairs at that point because he's been gone. He comes back because he's not convinced of what Sarah was telling him, and has now got her at gunpoint. And Joe comes down the stairs to like talk him down, like, you know, leave her alone, just take me type thing. And then Sid comes down and is startled by Jesse holding the gun to his mom, and trips down the stairs and falls down the stairs. And like, it's all cool because it's like an all slow motion. And so you see, as soon as the kid starts falling, like Sarah runs for Joe, not for Sid, and makes him like leave, like throws him out the door with her. So they're not in there. And then Sid, of course, being okay but hurt, like lets out a massive telekinetic blast that like it picks up everything around the room and including Jesse, the Gat Man, and then just kills him by just pulling the blood out of his chest. Like, and not even like fast either. Just like slowly pulling it out of his chest, and it just makes it rain blood out of the house. And which is where this right here is where Joe's like, oh, okay, this is the kid. Like, this is the Rainmaker. Like, this is the kid that old Joe is looking for. This is where I'm glad I went to this house. Yeah, exactly. So that's where everything is like, okay, well, we're this sucks. And you know, Sid runs away into the cornfield, like all covered in blood and shit. And like Joe goes and like finds him and like comforts him, like trying to like, you know, calm the kid down and showing the kid some compassion and not being scared of him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Real quick, old Joe is still on Susie's apartment. Kid Blue has tracked him there. Joe decided to go in and kill the kid, but Kid Blue is there instead of the kid, and subdues Joe, like takes him to Abe or whatever. So now that we're back at young Joe at the farm, he knows that Sid is the Rainmaker. He tells her and Sid they need to go because old me is coming to kill him because he turns bad in the future. So she's packing the truck. At this point, Kid Blue has taken old Joe to see Abe. A fight ensues there. Everyone's killed. Kid Blue takes a bullet to the foot, and then old and young Joe are. That's when the confrontation starts. Old Joe gets a truck from wherever he's at Abe's and heads to the farmhouse. And I think this is when, is this when Sid and them are all escaping and, like, Sid flips the truck they're in or something? Is that when this happens? Is that later on?
Well, no, because you have, you have the two, this is where the Joes, run back into each other at the farm. Right. And then Sid and Sarah try to escape. And, I think it was, and it wasn't old Joe was behind them shooting. He's, in front of them shooting, kind of like you have
he's standing in the middle of the road, and she's gunning it. And Sid's stop,
yeah,
stop.
And Sid's hey, hook a left, go any other direction. And, he gets all freaked out.
And he flips the truck.
Does his, telekinetic panic and shoots them, in the fucking air like a goddamn piston went off under the truck and just exploded it. That's the only way to describe it, you know?
And old Joe, this is when old Joe attempts to shoot them and the bullet grazes Sid's cheek. So this is where in the original timeline, he would have had a synthetic jaw because it would have been a better shot or whatever because they weren't, who knows. But, which doesn't make, okay, I'm not going to go down that path. Because if his mom was killed and I'll tell you what happened. In the original timeline, his mom was killed in front of him and he had lost his jaw, which means that probably got infected because his mother wasn't there to clean it up after this whole thing happened. Because his mom was dead in the original timeline. Let's go with that. That's how he got a synthetic jaw.
Yeah, you know what? That's probably even more realistic that it wasn't like he got
shot differently.
Is shot in the face or it ripped off. He got wounded, and either through a dental infection because he's in the middle of a fucking farm with no parents now, ever probably saw a dentist, and that thing got infected, and the only way to fix it was to replace his jaw at the end of the day. As he got older, it just got worse and worse, and then it was all right, you literally don't have any jaw to work with. We need to do something.
Yeah, and him getting shot causes another TK rage to happen. Sarah and old Joe are suspended in midair. Young Joe is following them. He's also knocked over. The truck he's in is knocked over in the TK blast as well. But this time, instead of running, Sarah calms Sid. Probably because of the young Joe's talk about, showing the boy some compassion and some love for his stuff and not being afraid of him. she calms him down, and he ends the TK, storm. And she hugs him. He calls her mom for the first time, which he has never done before. And but in this same time, old Joe was recovering from being suspended in the air and grabs his gun, and he's holding it on Sarah and Sid, as young Joe also comes running up behind, further back from old Joe with his shotgun, which he knows he's too far back for the shotgun to reach old Joe, and he realizes that what he has to do is what he does, and he turns the shotgun on himself and shoots himself right in the heart. And
yep, like how bad of a person do you got to become for like a younger version of yourself to go, I should kill myself to stop that from happening, because this is like all kinds of like layers.
Well,
right?
It says here that old Joe or young Joe understands right before he shoots himself. He flashes like through the timeline. He understands that old Joe creates an embittered child who will become the Rainmaker without his mother's love, and also realizes that by killing old Joe, the loop will not be closed, and old Joe will keep coming back. By him just killing old Joe, it's gonna keep the loop's gonna keep coming. So he has to make the loop never happen by killing himself.
Well, that's assuming that he won't make any changes.
Right.
Yeah. So it's weird because that's like a young person going, like, knowing themselves all of a sudden well enough, going, yep, I'll never be more than what he described. Like that is me. There's no way to change that. But then it's also like you got the guy like getting clean, falling in love, and you're like, oh man, that's really cool. But then it's like, dude, you're going back and killing kids, man. That is fucked up. Like you just don't do that. Like I don't care like who you're in love with, like unless it's a proven fact that this person is the ender of all worlds, right? Like you just don't do that. You go, sorry, man, that little person still deserves a chance. But like, yeah, dude, like it's weird to think like you would off yourself to stop your future self from like doing something, like when you kind of think of like, I'm trying to think of like, I mean, obviously if future me was like doing what I said earlier, like going back and gonna kill up to 25 babies, like that's what it took to save the world. Like younger me would be like, dude, I'm gonna shoot the fucking shit out of you. Like we are not doing that. I don't know what happened to you to let you get to that point, but you are a broken human. You do not deserve any more life. Like, and that's what young Joe did. Like he basically looked at himself and said, I don't like what I become. That kid deserves more of a chance.
Yeah, and I love how this is something we've been waiting for 3 episodes so far, is like we get to see someone, the younger version, die, and what happens, and he's just not there. And I love it. I just loved it. It was powerful but also simple, because it wasn't a bang, it wasn't a whoosh, it was just he just wasn't there. He just wasn't there anymore. And it's great. I thought it was fantastic. Old Joe's gone, young Joe's dead, Sarah and Sid, they're all better. She's cleaned his cut on his face. He's all, she's put him to bed.
Yeah. They look like they're going to be normal and A-okay, and his superpowers will adjust, and then there's also that blanket of gold brick.
Yeah, because Joe took all of
out on the ground from the truck. Because remember, because Joe had robbed him.
He took all of Abe's shit when he killed everybody there. He's like, we aren't going to need this money anymore. Yep. So she's set for life. She, even to the point of like stroking young Joe's hair, like he had mentioned his mom used to do or whatever. So because he didn't have a mom for very long. It was one of the stories him and Sid like bonded on, which is where that all came from earlier. But yeah, so this time travel movie, while it may have had like plot things that weren't so great in my book, like when it comes to the time travel working, more of the plot was set. There was less science and more plot time travel in this movie, and I liked it because it made the story really fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think they took a like we said earlier, they took a non-butterfly effect approach to the film. Like, look, dude, we get it. yes, you can change the future from the past, but we're also not going to make you believe that you all now have the power of God in your hands by fucking buying a fucking CVS discount knowing that it's going to affect everything down the road, right? They're like, we're not doing that bullshit.
Yep.
We're gonna give you the idea that things change, but it's not really as drastic of a time change as you would think. Like, oh shit, Two Dads Review doesn't exist. You know what? Podcast will still exist. Like, it's not astronomical.
So true. So yeah, and that's it for Looper. We have talked your guys' ear off about things Looper related and things not Looper related because that's what you come here to listen to.
That's what we do. Yeah, I liked Looper. First time run through. Great movie. If you've never seen it, watch it.
Not
it's
now because
awesome.
you've gotten it all spoiled, but yeah.
Yeah. But I know, honestly, I mean, even knowing the story, like just watching the movie, because it's a good movie. Like it's nicely filmed. It's fun. You would have a good time watching it. The second watch through, if you ever do that, and it's not like immediately, so you can kind of just go look for stuff, but just to like watch it, I don't think it'll hold up as well as you remember it. It'll be one of those where you're like, I don't even know if I'd call that like really good at this point, because it's just because it was the idea was kind of so unique and different. I mean, not necessarily like really unique, but it was just good and different that now when you watch it, you go, there's nothing else to it. Like, this can't excite me anymore. And it's not old enough to be like, woo, I haven't seen this in forever. True. You know, yeah.
So yeah, it's well worth the first watch. Next week, we're going with Edge of Tomorrow, which is like Groundhog Day meets Starship Troopers, which I'm completely fine with that. I'm not sure if it's even. I've watched it once. I remember I've watched it once. I know I enjoyed it. I don't remember if they explained the time loop. I don't know if they tell us what happened, if it was alien technology. I don't remember, but it's not a time machine type movie, but it's still a time loop, and we're going to count it. God damn it. So that's next week, and then I guess it's Interstellar the week after, and then Star Trek Discovery Season 2, and we'll be set for like 15 weeks. Don't have to worry about what's going on next. Until then, we'll catch you guys. Make sure you subscribe to our show and turn on notifications because they are not a standard release. We will get them out weekly most of the time. But yeah, catch you guys on the flip side.
All right, see you guys.